Edmonton Sports Talk. My God, I loved it. My name's Jay Milne. #Blue. Our sports update deliverer. The Coon.
I'm Zachary Kubish, and you're up today.
You know what, Reid? You might be on this. All right, here's what's going on in the nest.
Well, the CFL is literally moving the goalposts and a bunch of other stuff. So here's what we have. For next season, 35-second play clock. This will not have a huge impact on the game, quite frankly. We'll talk about that. Benches on opposite sides of the field in every stadium. What took you so long? And the single point will be modified. Well, I wonder if anybody has ever suggested this, that the ball must be handled for there to be a single point on a play. You cannot just kick the ball through the end zone or out of bounds in the end zone and get a single point. That's all in effect for next season. For 2027, gets a little more extreme, if you want to call it that. The end zone will shrink from 20 yards to 15. The field will shrink from 110 yards in length to 100. Importantly, it will remain 65 yards wide, and the uprights will go to the back of the end zone. So you will no longer have the uprights right on the goal line. They will be at the back of the end zone. The end zone will be a bit smaller, 15 yards deep instead of 20. So when a team is lining up to kick a field goal, you will now be adding 22 onto the line of scrimmage to determine the length of the field goal. So if the Elks have the ball on Calgary's 20 and are attempting a field goal, that would be a 42-yard field goal.
Correct.
Because it'd be kicked from the 27, and you add the 15 onto the end zone. So a deep drive does not necessarily result in a short field goal. So those are the changes. They're taking place over a couple of years. They got to give this. I've been asked, why do they just do it for next year? Well, you got to give a chance to reconfigure some of the fields, and there will be an adjustment here. I'm curious too, as a side note, and we're going to touch on this, Jay. What you made a great point bringing this up even last night when we were starting to get wind of some of this. What happens with amateur football in this country?
Yeah, it's a serious question. Where does this? How far down do the rule changes go? I mean, as of right now, if you go out to JP Bowl or Emerald Hills and watch the Edmonton Huskies and Edmonton Wildcats play, that's all the same rules as the CFL.
Right.
But all these changes, and especially goalpost changes, field size changes, how far does that trickle down? We're going to have Tim Enger on the show later from Football Alberta. He's the technical director at Football Alberta. I think it's going to be too fresh, obviously, for him to give a full idea of what the game plan of what Football Alberta intends to do.
Yeah.
But think of all the football facilities around here and football fields where high school football is played, bantam football. That's a major cost.
Yeah. Now, it's still going to be 3 downs, and it's still going to be a 65-yard field, which I think is important. But this will be the number one discussion point today. The Oilers did play split squad games last night against the Calgary Flames. Exhibition game in Winnipeg tomorrow. I went to the game here at Rogers Place. The Oilers lost in overtime. They got a 3-0 shutout in Calgary. We will have some comments from Chris Knobloch and a couple players as we move along throughout the course of the show. Thanks a lot for tuning in. He is Jay Milne. I'm Reid Wilkins, the Reid Wilkins Show on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports. Of course, we are happy to hear from you, and I think many of you have things to say today whenever there are rule changes, and it's a league that some of you still have a strong affection for. Do we have Chris? Not yet? Okay, we'll get him. We are going to have Elks President Chris Morris on the show in a couple of minutes because this is going to be important. Obviously, he'll have, I think, some perspective on what the CFL Commissioner Stewart Johnston announced today, what he thinks might come out of it, how this could affect the Elks and the league. And initially, we've had a very prominent player not like it, and that's Nathan Rourke of the BC Lions, and noted that the players were not consulted. I reached out to some players that I know. Generally, some thoughts on the loss of tradition. Generally, some, well, let's see what happens. And I think generally, what is this going to do to the kicking game? I think that's a big question. How will this affect punting, when to punt, field goals, when to kick? Well, we know it's going to make field goals longer, just based on. Well, sorry, that's silly. A 47-yard field goal will still be 47 yards. It'll be from a different yard line than it used to be. So anyway, you can text us 780-218-9999. That is the River Cree Resort and Casino inbox. River Cree Resort and Casino, home of Tap 25 Restaurant. $18.99 prime rib special, available 7 days a week, except show nights from 11:30 in the morning to 11 at night. Available for dine-in and takeout. Not available on show nights. You can email jay@edmontonsportstalk.com, reid@edmontonsportstalk.com. If you're taking in the show on YouTube, you can post in the nasty chat. That's the chat function going down the right-hand side of the screen. A lot of discussion there today with these rule changes. Obviously, we can't read all of them on air, but some of you just get into conversations with each other while you're listening to us. That's perfect, actually. That's a great way for it to work. And what else did I miss? Follow us on X, Twitter, at YEG Sports Talk. He's at Jason Milne. I'm at Reid Wilkins, ReidWilkins. While we're getting connected with Chris here, what was your just an initial, and we started getting a sense of what was happening yesterday when we started hearing stuff. And then obviously it was most of what we thought we knew was confirmed at 11 this morning when Stewart Johnston spoke. What was your initial gut reaction when you, and really it's 6 changes. Like what was your initial gut reaction?
Well, as soon as I came up the stairs here, Matt was sitting in his office. He said, come here. He said, this is what we feel this is right before the announcement. So he said, there's 6 changes. So I said, can I guess? So I guessed the 100-yard field. Okay. I guessed the uprights to the back of the end zone. I thought the end zone was going to be shorter. I didn't think I didn't know if it was 15 or 10.
Yeah.
And then I also thought about the rouge, getting rid of the rouge. Reid, when I'm looking over these changes, honestly, it's going to change this game. It is going to change the CFL. I think a great deal. Now, is that the intention of it? Because from what I see, yes, there may be less field goals.
Yeah.
It's going to look different. It's going to look weird. It's going to take some getting used to. The field goal uprights at the back of the end zone and being in what normally would be considered field goal zone or field goal territory, no longer being that way, is going to be very weird. But shortening the field, you're taking 10 yards off the field, which means that should lead to more points, touchdowns. Okay? I said this before, the goalpost being changed, to me was what jumped out. Caught my attention. Because now you're changing the field goal rules, you're changing what you do, say between the 25 and 35 yard line, in terms of if you have a 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 4. Do you now go for it instead of taking, a squib punt that risks going through the end zone? We've seen it happen a lot where the punter takes a bounce and it rolls out of the back of the end zone or the side of the end zone.
Yeah.
In which case that team would get it on the 40. Then you're at a negative loss, right? There's a lot of ramifications there. The goalposts to me are what jumped off.
Yeah. I think here's what I think that they're doing. I think that they're trying to get touchdowns and not field goals. I don't think they expect that the scores are going to go to 48-45 every game. But I think if a game is, what did the Elks lose by on the weekend? Was it 29-27 or 28-27?
Yeah.
I think that they want a team to get to 28 or 29 by having 4 touchdowns and a 2-point convert, as opposed to, because didn't Hamilton kick 5 field goals? So they had 2 touchdowns and 5 field goals. So I think that they want to encourage gambling, especially inside the other team's 40, and encourage more touchdowns than field goals. That is what I think initially. Now, there's a guy listening right now, and we're going to bring Elks president Chris Morris onto the show, who maybe is thinking, Reid, you nincompoop. You're missing the point. And he knows that sometimes I do that. But Chris, thanks a lot for joining us. I know it's a busy day. I know you did an availability at Commonwealth. How you doing, first of all?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
We're doing great. Thanks a lot for doing this. Maybe just bump his volume up just a little bit there, Coop. Okay, let me start there with what I was just talking about. People are going to be coming up to you on the street or in the supermarket asking you if you had to give your 20 to 30 second summary, Chris, why do this? And I just speculated they want more touchdowns. What would your summary be of why the CFL is doing this?
I think you're bang on, Reid. It's touchdowns instead of field goals. So you're on the opposing team's 40-yard line on offense, and it's now a 62-yard field goal. You're not kicking a 62-yard field goal. If you punt and it goes through the end zone, they get the ball on the 35-yard line, so 5 yards away from where you're scrimmaging the ball, and there's no point awarded. If you punt and it doesn't make any sense anymore to kick field goals from 62. It makes very little sense to punt for negligible return unless you can pin them somehow and it doesn't go into the end zone. So if I'm a coach and I'm doing the numbers and all that, from about the 50 all the way to about the opposing team's 35, third down, you're going for it consistently. And I think if you look at that and you look at what the stats are going to be on those numbers as the years go by, it's going to make a lot of sense to be going for it on third down almost every single time when you're in that zone.
Okay. I'm just curious how this evolved. I mean, Stewart hasn't been the commish very long. I'm already seeing some stuff out of BC that Lions players and coaches are being like, what's going on? Why weren't we consulted? How did this, did Stewart initialize this? Was this, and I know you're relatively new to your job too, or was this already on the table when you and Stewart came in? How did it sort of evolve?
Yeah, I think, Stewart and the board of governors, right? So the owners of the teams look every year and look almost every month at, okay, our business and the business of the CFL, and is it being productive, and is it something that's going to be sustainable long term? And when they look at that and they're like, okay, there's been other changes in other sports that have spurred success and spurred excitement and spurred, innovative things that have changed. So I think their thought was, we're going to make some changes here to try to spur some interest in our sport, to try to get things going so there's more touchdowns and field goals and targets and specific things. And that's what they did. Those guys own these teams, and Stewart's, been hired to run the CFL as our commissioner. The ideas they've come up with, I think, when you first look at them, and anytime anything change happens, and I've known this for a long time, when you're in leadership roles, any sort of change happens and everybody's really, really upset at first. And then everybody has time to process and look at it. And it's like, okay, this is going to be okay. This doesn't fundamentally change our game. There's still motion. There's still a wide field. There's still a pace to it. We have to sort out the 3 minutes before the half and the 3 minutes before the end of the game. We got to make sure we maintain the urgency that exists with that. But there's a lot of the integrity of the Canadian game has been maintained by these decisions. I equate it to the pitch clock, having to get the pitch, that was a Major League Baseball thing that happened that they tried to do to enhance the pace of their game. So that's where I think our commissioner's trying to go. That's where our board of governors is trying to go. And I think we got to give it a chance here. You don't want to just put the brakes on and say everything's going to be bad, because I don't believe that. When you really look at it, there's a lot of cool things that could happen as a result of this.
Elks president Chris Morris joining us here on the Reid Wilkins Show. Chris, I'm going to ask you a couple questions, and I want you to take yourself back to head coach at the Golden Bears, Chris, and former Eskimo great Chris Morris, okay? Not President Chris Morris. Put yourself in that mindset for me.
I'll do my best.
The goalposts, okay? Moving the goalposts back. Now, during the press conference today, Stewart Johnston alluded to, the field of vision for a quarterback and offensive play calling, and suggested that this was going to increase passes completed in the end zone by 10%. And there's going to be 60 more touchdowns per year based on their analytics. Was that something as a coach and as a player, an offensive lineman, that you knew or you were aware of when your team was in the red zone, was to stay away from those goalposts. Is this as big of a thing, do you think, moving them back, opening up the middle of the field with the goalposts now on the end line?
What's massive, Jay, like you can't target the middle part of the field. Like, and you played safety for a long time. You were a really good safety. Like that's an obstacle. You're backpedaling near those goalposts, and it's like the receivers are trying to use them as like artificial picks, and it's in the way. And it's part of the game, and we've always lived with it, right? And it's always been kind of a unique part of our game. But if you think about it, trying to attack that middle portion of it, like you can't throw the ball towards the back of the end zone in the middle of the field. So that's all changed now. If you move them back, now that whole target area is available to you. And the part that I think is the most significant is coming out of your own zone. Like when you're pinned deep, like it's really, really hard to get out of there because you only have access to a small portion of the field. Like think of all the scores that happen. I'll go back to the other way. Think of all the scores that happen. It's all corner routes. It's all rub routes. It's all stuff to the outside portion of the field. There's going to be a lot of mesh concepts. There's going to be a lot of crossing routes. There's going to be a lot of hooks now in the middle of the field that people haven't used in the past. So I do think it's going to open up a lot of possibilities. And, it's going to take away the corner route. When you're on the 10-yard line, you can't throw corner routes anymore like you could before. But I think there's way more opened up that's been closed off.
The other one I think that is kind of, I don't know if it's being pushed aside or it's maybe not as attention grabbing as the others, is the 35-second play clock. That to me is going to be a really big change because, well, I'll ask you this. Do you think teams will take advantage of this and run hurry up offenses a lot more to keep defensive players on the field and limit them being able to move guys in and out?
Yeah, I think there's a whole bunch of things that could happen around this, right? Because you can run tempo. I think there's going to be more tempo. You'll have more time to run tempo and then run that freeze stuff where your guys come at the line of scrimmage, you see what they're in, and then you communicate to your quarterback, okay, they're in this coverage or whatever the case may be. I think that's a big part of it. Honestly, guys, I'm more worried about, I think that'll be good. I'm worried about the last 3 minutes of the half and the last 3 minutes of the game. I don't want people to be able to kneel the clock out with 2 minutes left, which you could do potentially with this new system. And I know the commissioner and the board, they've done a really good job. They're going to put a committee together and they're going to look at that as a possibility to say, okay, how are we going to make sure that these last 3 minutes aren't just sort of wasted by someone who has the ball who wants to kill the clock? Now, that being said, we would have won the last 2 games if that was the case.
Yes.
We wouldn't have given the ball back to them, you know what I mean? So it's hard when you're looking at it that way. But like, I do think one of the very unique and exciting and great parts of the Canadian game is that the 3 minutes is a lot of time. You can score like freaking 21 points in 3 minutes if you know what I mean, if everything goes your way. And I think that's something I think the commissioner wants to maintain. He's just got to figure out the best way to do that while at the same time having that consistent 35-second clock.
Okay, I'm glad you answered that. So some of these little details, like after the 3-minute warning, probably the exact yard line, a touchback or a rouge would come out to, probably things like that still got to be figured out.
Yeah. The clock piece in the last 3 minutes, there's going to be a committee set up to talk about that thing, talk about how to best handle that.
Yeah.
So I know we talked about that at length. That was one of the biggest points of discussion when all this was going through.
Okay. All right. Well, I like how you explained that. Really interesting reaction from chatters. It's good to see that there's passion about it, right? And that people care and are wondering how these rule changes are going to go. Look, we are lucky to have you on. I hope you don't mind a comment on the Elks. You mentioned the last 2 games. I mean, those were heartbreaking. And Chris, as you know, I'm a season ticket holder as well, so I try to talk about the team analytically, but there is an emotional side for me, and I feel as if I have seen progress. I have seen some maturity. I have seen growth within the organization. The other side of me is I'm just sick of being heartbroken. On these last plays. How are you feeling?
Reid, I get it. Like, I understand, and I've been there. Like, I understand how upset everybody is with where we're at. Now, we still have a chance to make the playoffs. I'm going to start with that. We still have a legitimate shot. We play Winnipeg coming up 2 weeks from now. We're not in a good spot, but we're in a decent spot to still qualify. I'll say this, okay, and I'll say this to all of our fans. I am not changing everything on this team because we didn't make the playoffs this year if that's what happens. And I still think we can make the playoffs. But there is not going to be the turnover that you have seen as a fan base on this team with the staff, with the players, with the personnel in the offices. I am going to do everything I can to keep as many people as we have on this team right now together going forward for future years. This is a very, very the youngest team in the CFL, and we are going to build continuity here with these guys. And we've made some young people mistakes in this year, and we've made lots of them. And I think from a staff standpoint, from a coaching and playing standpoint, young people aren't obviously as polished as what you're going to be when you're in your 2, 3, 4, 5 of your coaching and playing career. I'm really, really excited for the growth of this group. And I'm telling you, we are going to stay together, and we're going to find pieces to augment what we have. But the core and the heart of this team, regardless of how the rest of this season goes, will be maintained, and we'll build on it. It is not going to be a fire sale like you guys have seen for the last several years here.
Chris, thanks a lot for doing that. I appreciate that answer as well. And you did a great job going over the thinking behind the rule changes. All the best. And ticket sales going well for Sask, right? So that's really good for Saturday.
Yeah, we're doing really well. We got a chance to sell at the Lower Bullhill still. So we should, I think, guys, I'll say that my message to our fans would be this, guys, we're so close to so many games this year. We've won the majority of our games at home, and it's because our fans have been loud. Our fans have been a big factor for us. If we could just get a little more help here, guys, and I know people are sick of hearing this, but Saskatchewan's coming in here, and if we can make it so that they can't hear their offensive guys calling things, have a big enough crowd for that, and have close to 30,000 sitting in the stands, we got a good shot at this thing. But we're so close in every single game we have. Things like having fans in our stands and that feeling of community and the noise that it creates, those are big things for us right now as a franchise, being the young team that we are. So I really would appreciate anybody who can come out to this game and support us. We'd love to see you there.
Right on. Okay, Chris, thank you so much. We'll see you around the stadium. Really appreciate your time.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Chris Morris, the president of the Edmonton Elks, checking in. So he and we're going to have a lot of discussion on this. He did a really good job outlining some stuff. He fully said there are some unanswered questions, specifically how will the last 3 minutes work? Will they keep the 35-second play clock? Could they go back to a 20 in the last 3 minutes? Could they change how it starts and stops? Could they add timeouts for teams? I guess we'll see.
Well, and what was nice, and I hadn't heard this through any other announcements or not with Stewart Johnston, what he said this morning, there's a committee that's looking into it, how to do this properly. So you cannot do exactly what everybody's fearful of, which is just kneeling out the ball with 2 minutes left or a minute, however, to just use the time clock and kneel the game out.
Yeah.
That's what makes the CFL very special, is that with 3 minutes left in the game, with reasonable, number of points apart, it's still a wild finish or has the capability of being a wild finish. You cannot take that away from this game.
So, but he answered it off the top. And I really hope of all the things we are going to talk about today, and Jay and I both have our own what if scenarios for what will you do if this happens, and we're going to look at some of the things that Nathan Rourke said and stuff like that. But the question that's going to be asked when you're at your workplace this afternoon or hanging out with your buddies tonight, if you go out for Monday Night Football or talking to your family or whoever, why did the CFL do this? Because they want more touchdowns and fewer field goals and less kicking overall. Now I know what you're going to say. Oh, Reid, this. Okay, I personally am not guaranteeing it's going to work. I got to see what happens. But the answer to the question, why are they doing it, is they want more touchdowns and fewer field goals, and by extension, I guess less punting, because he gave that example of being on the 40 or whatever.
Well, yeah, I've got one here.
And if the touchback comes out to the 35, why would you punt? So that's why they're doing it. Now, you as an individual fan or audience member can believe or disbelieve that that's going to work, but that's what I want to explain to you. That is the heart of why they are doing this. In terms of some of the key things, I mean, obviously the benches on opposite sides, that's just finally, let's look a little less.
Yeah, that's common sense.
Let's not look like a high school stadium or something like that. So that we'll talk about all this stuff. We're going to have an off-topic related to rule changes, which hopefully will add some levity to the show as well. Jay's play of the day is going to center around Monday Night Football. Yeah. Oh, man, we're going to dive into all of it. Here comes the Coob with a sports update.
Starting in
in 2026, the CFL will see the first wave of major changes coming to the game. Team benches will now be on opposite sides of the field, with the game clock now becoming an automatic 35-second timer, and the rouge will be tweaked as well, meaning no points awarded for missed field goals, kickoff, or punts that roll through the end zone. In 2027, the field will be shortened to 100 yards, having goalposts pushed to the back of the condensed 15-yard end zones. In NFL news, Nick Bosa has been ruled out for the rest of the season, with the 49er tearing his right ACL yesterday against Arizona. And for the Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb could be sidelined for 3 to 4 weeks after he suffered a high ankle sprain on his left leg, being ruled out by halftime in last night's contest in Chicago. And according to ESPN, Najee Harris of the Chargers has torn his Achilles. He's done for the season. On the field tonight, it's Ravens and Lions clashing at 6:15. Join Lieutenant Eric for the game at Sally's Sports Bar and Lounge at Century Casino on Fort Road. This sports update is brought to you by Paramount Flooring, proudly serving Edmonton and area for over 30 years. Their West End showroom is open 7 days a week. You can shop online at ParamountFlooring.ca. The discussion continues on the other side of the break. I'm Zachary Kubish, and you're up to date.
Two guys and a goalie.
The thought I had this morning is, what if he is making this we'll call it a political decision to have eyes on him, not falling on a sword, but carrying a shield, as it were. Because if everyone's asking questions about him, guess what they're not asking about? Guess who hasn't been swamped with stuff heading into the season? Stuart Skinner, Darnell Nurse, Evan Bouchard.
Two guys and a goalie, presented by GS Construction. Tuesday and Thursday afternoons at noon, only on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports.
We have what you're looking for. GD Liquidators is Edmonton's one-stop shop for new and used warehouse, office, and industrial items since 1987. You'll find what you want when you want it. Give us a call, visit us in-store, or check out the monthly auctions at gdliquidators.com. 100% Canadian-owned and operated. We have what you are looking for. GD Liquidators.
Win big this NFL season at the Canadian Brewhouse, presented by Bud Light. You could win a trip to Super Bowl 60, plus prizes like smokers, Bud Light coolers, and a trip to an NFL home opener next season. Enjoy $1 off Bud Light and Budweiser tankers. Details at thecanadianbrewhouse.com.
GCL Diesel has been serving oil country since 1972. From diesel cars to SUVs to pickups. From farm tractors to school buses to a big rig. From diesel generators to forklifts, GCL can test, troubleshoot, and repair all diesel fuel system components. Whether it's injectors, pumps, turbos, filters, or additive, GCL has the parts you need to keep your diesel running the way it should. For genuine diesel parts at wholesale prices, visit GCL Diesel in the West End or online at gcldiesel.com. GCL Diesel. Diesel understood.
The leaves are turning, and just like golf season, time is running out to get in on Play Alberta's biggest offer ever. For a limited time only, new players can get up to a $1,000 casino bonus when they sign up. There's never been a better time to join the fun. Visit playalberta.ca today to get started with casino, sports, and lottery all in one app. Must be 18 plus to play. Remember, if you gamble, please use your game sense.
Fall football in your living room just became the Fan Zone. Before you move in the giant screen, make space to cheer on your favorite team with Sentinel Storage. Try 4 weeks free at sentinelstorage.ca.
All right, appreciate you tuning in this afternoon. We are focusing on rule changes to the Canadian Football League. The big ones are going to kick in 2027. The field will go down to 100 yards from 110. It will remain 65 yards wide. The end zone will go down to 15 yards from 20, and the uprights will go to the back of the end zone. So you will have to add 22 yards onto the line of scrimmage to get the field goal length. We just had Elks president Chris Morris on the show to give a good summary and talk about the impact of these. Basically, the league is aiming for more touchdowns and fewer field goals and probably less kicking overall. Appreciate the people participating in the Nasty Chat on YouTube. We'll get to some of your text messages as well. I have not heard all of this myself, so maybe some of you haven't either. Here are, we'll just play some of the raw scrum. BC Lions star quarterback, Canadian, Nathan Rourke on these changes today.
New rule changes are garbage. It's garbage. I, as many people did, fans and people who play in this league, grew up watching the CFL and loving the game. I grew up in Ontario, played Canadian football rules all my life. Was aware of and was a fan of the league down there, but was a fan of the CFL because of its differences. I went down to the States, proud of the game, being able to explain the differences, the waggle, the yard, the extra person. These are the things that are unique about the game that make it different. And there's the rule changes to me make it sound like we want to be that league down south. We want to be that league. And from recent history and years past, leagues that have tried to emerge to try to be like the NFL haven't existed for very long. The CFL game has existed for longer than the NFL. And there's a reason for that. It's unique. The fans love it. I grew up loving this game. And they're changing that. They're getting rid of a lot of things. The worst part I think about it, honestly, is the fact that the people who play football, who have the football knowledge, were not consulted about this. The players weren't consulted, the coaches, management, nobody was consulted. This was done on their own accord. This was done independent of asking anyone who actually knows football what they want to do, what they think would be better. We have a commissioner who hasn't been here for a year, who's already trying to change the game. And I don't believe he loves football as much as I do, as much as many fans do, as much as people who grew up loving this game. I don't think you cannot make adjustments like this and tell me that you like football. You love the Canadian football game because you're changing it. And what we're moving towards is not the Canadian football game that I grew up loving, that I'm passionate about, that I came back and played. I went down and played in the NFL in that league, and I came back knowing that this is a game for me because of the uniqueness of it, what's special about it, and we're getting away from that. And that, frankly, makes me pretty pissed off.
So let's talk about a couple of things just from like practical rules as opposed to kind of a philosophical, emotional piece, which is totally fair. The goalposts being taken out from the goal line, how does that impact you as a quarterback? Like, does it open things up and create potential more opportunities? I mean, I don't think that Buck and I have ever sat down on the night before day 3 when we put in our red zone stuff and said, what do we do about the goalpost in the middle of the field? That just doesn't happen. If anything, offensively, we're using that as a vehicle to be able to get ourselves open. It's an extra person to be able to rub things off. It was the first time I hit the goalpost this year. That was my own fault. And looking at it, probably would have been good. It probably would have been an interception. You move the goalpost back, you get rid of one of the things that's most special about the league, which is its special teams. You cut there's people who have made a career in this league. We're going to be playing one of the best in the league this week with Grant. He's one of the best in the league at fielding missed field goals and returning them and making huge plays out of them. People have made careers. That's all they do. We're taking that out. That's not a thing. You move it to the back, it's not a thing. It's not a thing anymore. So again, we're moving in the direction of the NFL where they don't like special teams. They want to make it more and more less of a part of what the game actually is. We've always embraced that. I think that's what's awesome about it. It's more exciting, but we're getting away from that, and that's unfortunate. Isn't there bad optics when a game gets decided on a failed play? Like when a kick is missed and goes out of the end zone and doesn't get a chance to be returned, but you're still being rewarded for that. Like, there are fans or people that maybe aren't fans and would like to become fans that think that some of that stuff doesn't make the league necessarily look positive, that you're eliminating some of those opportunities as well. Can you see it from that side at all? I can see them not wanting to do that, but again, I think that those type of instances happen so infrequently that they only are a big deal because of it's happening. The other times that it happens, it's more often than not, it's what they would call a touchback, right? You're getting into the end zone, you're not having a chance to return it out. That, when he missed the field goal, they were so close. Just don't allow him to get so close so he can do that. You know what I mean? Like, it's a part of the game. Again, special teams is a big part of the game. They're embracing it. You're going to have instances where that's the thing. I think that's the trade-off. But again, the rouge is something that's
a uniquely Canadian, something that, again, I grew up with, loving, and being able to embrace that is embrace special teams, I think is amazing. It's a part of the uniqueness of the game, and he the commissioner talked about, wanting to preserve the rouge. I don't believe him.
Anything you like about him?
One more question.
Anything you like about the rules? Are there any?
The only thing that I think was positive was moving the teams to separate sidelines. I do see that there's some advantages to having people on both sidelines just for subbing and stuff like that. The reality of it, whether it's the dimensions of the field, whether it's whatever it is, whether it's a rounded end zone, we're playing on the same field. So if we're at McGill and there's rounded end zones, right? Every team's playing on it. We're both dealing with it. So it's just like we both deal with it. You're on the two different sidelines. One half is going to be harder. One half is going to be easier. Or one quarter, it's going to be easier. So, we're all dealing with those things. I don't see a competitive advantage. I do see, I think it's probably easier, so no one can say anything. But that's the extent, I think, of the decisions they should be making. I don't think they should be making anything about the football.
Okay, that's Nathan Rourke from the BC Lions. Very good. I mean, his first comment was a little over 2 minutes long. Anybody who listens to clips and interviews knows current athletes don't usually speak for that long. Let's start with the part of his statement that is easily refutable. Yeah. That he's probably going to regret if he thinks about this. Well, we got the waggle. Well, we got a yard off the ball. Well, we got 12 men. Those aren't changing. So, but I mean, he was ranting. He mentioned, and this is a fear a lot of people have, I think, including you and me. Well, I shouldn't speak for you. Moving towards the NFL. I'm glad the field is staying 60. For me, two big things. They stayed with 3 downs and they stayed with a 65-yard field. Okay? The commissioner today did a very poor job answering the question about, is this a step towards a 4th down? And he was asked, will you guarantee that the league will never have 4 downs? And he said, well, no, I don't make guarantees and I don't say never. Which makes it seem like he's opening the door. Maybe he isn't, but he didn't shoot. Or I would have loved to hear, and look, this is him answering questions, but he should have expected that one and been prepared for it. And maybe he wishes he would have answered it differently. I would have loved if he said, hold the phone. We just announced 6, 7 pretty significant changes. That is all that is happening. End of story. That way he doesn't shoot it down for the future, but he kind of poo-poos it, or he just says it'll never happen. I don't know if he can ever possibly guarantee that 30, 40 years down the road. Well, you could say not on my watch. Yeah. Not as long as I'm the commissioner of the league. Then that would have put a lot of this to bed. But the fact that he didn't, and the way he said it, never say never, that to me says that this is definitely on the table for the future, which would kill this league. This CFL would not recover from that. It just wouldn't. You cannot, that is the heart and soul. You could talk about all the changes, goalposts, field length, but field width is also up there. What did Glenn Suter say last week when he played? He came up from playing NCAA football. Yes. His first time on a CFL field, he couldn't even figure out what to do because it's so wide. Right. That is uniquely Canadian. I'm glad that didn't change. Absolutely. The main uniqueness, though, is 3-down football. You cannot touch that. That is just like, Reid, I would be out. Hand up. I would not be supporting the league anymore. Well, I think they would actually kill the passing game if it was 4 downs. Yeah. Because you could just find ways to run the ball. Can I just say this? Because a teammate of Nathan Rourke, Sean White, was also one that had a message on Twitter today. Well, I guess I know when I won't be needed. It was a fun ride, he said. So I think possibly, and I'm really grasping here, but I scroll down on Sean White's profile. Well, there's him and Nathan Rourke in a picture on the weekend. Mm-hmm. Clearly close friends. Maybe Nathan Rourke is taking the side of his buddy Sean White, who, if this goes to plan, and if all things work out the way that the CFL wants it to, Sean White will not be as necessary as Sean White has been. That's just a fact. Well, and I will agree with Rourke on this, and this is going to come down to people's personal opinions. He said, it seems like with these rules, we want less special teams. That's true. The CFL today is saying we do not want drives to end in a kick. I mean, of course it's going to happen, but and this is, I mean, we talk to fans all the time. A lot of people bitch about the rouge. That's going to be changed and limited. Okay, so that is a pretty big change. And then I have heard other people say over the years there's too much kicking in the CFL. One of my buddies who prefers NFL, the guy who prefers NFL and F1 racing, doesn't watch the NHL, doesn't watch the CFL. He used to call it the Canadian Field Goal League because you drive down to the other team's 30 and you stop and you kick a field goal, right? But again, this gets back to what Chris Morris said. They want touchdowns, not field goals. So the CFL is now saying to you, the fan, we would sooner that your favorite team reach the 30-yard line, have a 3rd and 4, and fail and turn over the ball that way than trying a field goal. Because the next time they have a 3rd and 4, they'll probably make it and score a touchdown on that drive. Mm-hmm. So they're still going to get 6 points either way, plus the convert on a touchdown. So they're saying we're probably going to arrive at the same number of points, but we're going to have more touchdowns to get there. That is what they're saying. That's what they're selling you today. And I believe, no, I don't know if that's going to happen. We'll see. I also believe they are selling you, the fan, something very important. And I want everybody listening to this really important. Like, I want everybody in the audience to listen to this very closely. And I'm including Jay and I in this when I say you. They are selling you more opportunity to second guess the coaches in the Canadian Football League. And you all love doing that. And again, I'm including Jay and I when I say the word you. I'm not excluding Jay and I or other people who host talk shows. They are selling you more opportunity to say, why didn't that blank head go for it on 3rd and 3? Why, what were we talking about at the end of the Elks game on Saturday? Mm-hmm. Why didn't Killam go for it on 3rd and 2 and just try to get that first down? And then even if you don't kill the clock, you kill more of it. And Bo Levi doesn't have a minute whatever to drive the ball. He has 23 seconds. All right? And I think that in the end of all of this, that is an important thing to sell people.
Sure.
The opportunity for them to say, I could have made a decision than this guy that's paid several $100,000 to do that job. I'm serious.
Yeah.
I'm serious. And I'm not saying that they sat around there in the CFL and thought about this, but this is going to be a byproduct of this. This is going to be a byproduct of this. There is going to be more coaching decisions. It's not going to be obvious to kick a field goal on 3rd and 4 from the other team's 28. Okay? It's not. Even around midfield. It's 3rd and 2. Well, we can go for it. We could punt. Maybe we pin him deep. But man, what if we go for it though? Then we might get a touchdown. And you know what? If we lose it, they're now 30 yards from field goal range, not 10. So there's going to be more to think about. Maybe they'll add timeouts. And we're going to be talked about how all that is going to be budgeted and all that kind of stuff. This is very likely going to be an offshoot of this. You, the listener, the fan, is going to have more to talk about.
Great
because
point.
Of coaching decisions.
Great point. And it's true because the 25 to 35 yard line is going to be anybody's guess. That's either going to be 47-yard field goal or a 57-yard field goal, of which if you miss and it goes through the end zone, your opponent gets it on the 40. It would be a net negative loss for your team. Why not go for it?
Right.
Why not go for it? And the analytics are going to start coming out on that pretty fast because, as I said, at least from what I can imagine, is I think you're going to have a set of coaches that are going to be a little bit more progressive and say, the hell with it, we're going for it.
Right.
Then you're going to have a set of coaches that want to try pin the opponents deep in their own territory. And it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But yes, calling out coaches is only going to be expanded by these rule changes.
Big time. I think so.
It's going to make jobs like the guys like you and I a lot more interesting because why didn't he go for it?
And there will be, more
go?
than one time a game where you can talk about that. And I think that's going to be a good offshoot to this.
And to be honest, for Sean White to say that, I don't necessarily agree with it. I think good kickers are going to become way more valuable than they ever have been. If you can put the long ball through, that is going to change the game for your team because you're not going to have to be forced to put in these decision situations.
Mm-hmm.
Now, back to Nathan Rourke's rant. Two things. One, he says, this is a game for me. I played in the NFL and I chose to come back here. Well, no, you didn't, Nathan.
You didn't.
If you were still good enough to play in the NFL, you'd be there.
You'd be making 10 times or more the money in this NFL.
Don't give me that. Throw that out. I'm sorry. Don't pander to CFL fans saying, I chose this league. Well, I'm sorry. You're a great quarterback, but that was not your decision. Two, and this is an interesting point. Are you surprised that players, coaches, management were not consulted?
Yes.
Or at least to your knowledge.
I think at least to our knowledge. Maybe players will now come out and say, no, I was asked. I mean, the NHL has a competition committee that has people from every level, right, including players, and those players would obviously represent other players. I'm surprised, again, if it's true that players weren't consulted. Now, having said that, the Board of Governors is basically the owners. And if they decide this is better for us to make more money long after you've retired, then they don't necessarily have to listen to the players. But I'd be surprised there wasn't a greater degree of player consultation.
I think for Nathan Rourke, the simplified version of that is the nostalgia of the game he grew up watching, loving, has now been stripped away a bit.
Right.
The goalposts being on the goal line, very Canadian. The rouge, very Canadian.
Right.
But
they're killing the rouge, the thing, they're killing the rouge in terms of the thing that the people most fans complain about the most. That you can just fire it through the end zone and get a point.
And we've all agreed that's foolish.
You should have to handle the ball, and that's what the rule is going to be.
Everybody can go back to that Haralua kick to win the game that he ultimately missed.
Right.
I mean, the Elks last year won their last game.
Yeah, meaningless game. So
meaningless.
People didn't talk about it as much.
It wasn't meaningless for Jay's win total on the season, I'll tell you that. We hit the over on that punt of Jake Julian's that sailed through the back of the end zone.
Oh, right, yeah.
Right? So, I mean, Reid, in U Sports this year, the Dinos were, Regina Rams were at Calgary. The Dinos were down 1 point with 2 seconds left on the clock. They were kicking off the ball. Their kicker punched one through, and it bounced out of the end zone. They tied that game and went to overtime.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's done.
That's no longer happening.
Oh, we're going to have some fun chat today. Duane Forde is coming up in about 12 minutes at the top of the hour. It'll be good to get his perspective as well. Former player, now analyst on TSN. The off-topic topic will be about rule changes, presented by William Huff. Since 1952, William Huff has provided industry-leading advertising solutions for thousands of valued clients. Their unparalleled customer service, combined with decades of industry expertise and a desire to make every job the very best it can be, is what they call the William Huff Advantage. Visit their website at williamhuff.com or give them a shout, 780-454-4536. First of all, do you have a bunch of texts on this?
Tons.
You may probably need another document to copy and paste them in. The off-topic topic is, because we should do a section or two of just texts. The off-topic topic, sure. What everyday rule at home or at work needs to change? So what everyday rule in your household or at your workplace needs to change?
Wow.
That's a good one.
Well, I'd like to impose more of a rule in my house.
Well, that's a rule change.
Lights. Turn off the damn lights.
Oh, absolutely.
My daughters, they leave every morning, their lights are on.
Yeah.
I want to put some sort of a monitor or like a clock or some sort of a ticking thing that shows how much money they are spending just keeping their lights on. I would really like that. I'm turning into my dad right in front of you. Oh my God! Your dad
right on live on Edmonton Sports Talk. Right live in the Canadian Brewhouse studio. Pizza Sunday is back at the Canadian Brewhouse. After 4 p.m., grab an 8-inch 2-topping pizza for just $9.99. Wash it down with $6.99 doubles and $1 off Bud Light tankards. More on the CFL rule changes. Jay's Play of the Day is coming up We will chat a little bit about your Edmonton Oilers. Here's the Coop.
Major changes are coming to the CFL starting in 2027. The field will now be 100 yards, having the end zone shortened to 15 with the uprights shifting to the back of the end zones. And for next season, an automatic 35-second game clock will be implemented with team benches placed on opposite sides of the field, and the rouge will no longer include a single point for missed field goal attempt or when punts and kickoffs sail through the end zone. Across the border, CeeDee Lamb of the Cowboys could miss 3 to 4 weeks with a left high ankle sprain he suffered yesterday against the Bears, while in San Francisco, Nick Bosa tore his right ACL last night against the Cardinals and requires season-ending surgery. Monday Night Football, it's Ravens and Lions hitting the field. Both teams 1-1 on this season. Enjoy the game alongside Lieutenant Eric at Selly's Sports Bar and Lounge at Century Casino on Fort Road with kickoff at 6:15. On the court, Fred Van Fleet of the Rockets could miss the entirety of the upcoming season. He's torn his ACL. Van Fleet signing a 2-year, $50 million contract extension in June. Meanwhile, baseball has 3 games. It all gets underway when the Nationals challenge the Braves at 6:15. This sports update is brought to you by Advantage Sports Medicine. Connor McDavid's got a team of specialists, and you're stuck with a bag of frozen peas. Get the same locker room approach that's trusted by the best in the game. Call them at 780-460-9977 or visit their website at advantagesportmed.ca to book an appointment today. More CFL discussion brings us back on the other side of the break. I'm Zachary Kubish, and you're up to date.
The Oil Stream.
Another interesting tidbit from Coach Chris Knobloch. He wants to see Nuge more at center. Do you like that?
I don't mind it. I think that could still change too. I'll add Henrique was on the wing yesterday. We could see those guys shuffle around, but he mentioned Frederick as well, his ability to play center. And
The Oil Stream, presented by Boston Pizza. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday afternoons at noon. Only on Edmonton Sports Talk. Your clear choice for Edmonton sports.
Running your own small business takes courage, and as it grows, so does your team. That's why Alberta Blue Cross offers health, dental, life, disability, and wellness benefits designed for small businesses, because we know a healthy team means a thriving business. Join over 5,000 Alberta businesses who have chosen us to help their business grow and succeed. Alberta Blue Cross takes care of you and your employees, so you can take care of your business. Visit ab.bluecross.ca to find a plan that's right for you.
Indigenous Celebration returns. Your Edmonton Elks face the Saskatchewan Roughriders Saturday, September 27th. Enjoy Indigenous dance and drum halftime performances, the pre-game makers market, and the unveiling of our brand new Indigenous gear. Indigenous Celebration is back. Presented by No Frills, 5 p.m. September 27th. Elks, Riders, wear the right shade of green. Tickets start at just $20. Score yours now at goelks.com.
Gallo LLP is an Alberta-based accounting firm with expert chartered professional accountants in both our Edmonton and Sherwood Park accounting firms. Our experienced and innovative accountants provide financial advice that saves our clients money. Simply put, we help our clients protect their assets and grow their businesses. At Gallo LLP, they go beyond the numbers to ensure the continued success of your business. Reach out to Preet or John to discuss how they can help your business grow. Visit gallollp.ca today and see how they can help you take your business to the next level.
Looking for quality building materials and friendly advice? Visit us at Windsor Plywood Leduc, family owned and locally run since 1993. From interior materials for doors, flooring, baseboards, and all the finishing touches to all you need for your outdoor projects like cedar lumber for decks and fences, plus all the plywood you'd need. Our full-time on-staff carpenter can help with anything odd-sized or custom, and from domestic hardwoods to exotic selections, we've got you covered. And if we don't have it, we'll track it down for you. Windsor Plywood Leduc. We're the experts you need to know. All right, hope you're having a great Monday afternoon. Significant changes coming in the CFL over the next couple of seasons. We are discussing 780-218-9999 is how you text the River Cree Resort and Casino inbox. Can we fire off a couple now?
Yes, Matt at the Garrison says, I'm sure these rule changes will be a hot topic at our St. Albert Minor Football Board meeting.
Oh, yeah.
You bet it will. Library Pat makes a really good point, and we talked about this in the bullpen with Maddie. Another wrinkle regarding the CFL changes. What happens with the CFL fields that are shared with U Sports?
Yes.
Winnipeg, Calgary, Montreal. Possibly, there may be others. I'm not sure off the top of my head. If U Sports doesn't make the same changes, those universities would need to find somewhere else to play. Tube Sock says, I just got over the end zone shrinking from 25 to 20. Now this.
Well, that was in 86 or something?
Adam in Quebec City. Look, I get Chris Morris's point about being loyal to the team and everything, but I got to ask, if you're not going to be loyal to the game, why should I be loyal to a team? Why should I be loyal to players?
Who said that?
Adam in Quebec City.
That makes no sense at all. That makes no sense at all. Did you stop watching the NHL when they went to 3-on-3 overtime? When they got rid of the 2-line pass? When they started using the
offside
new technology sticks instead of wood?
Icing.
Stuff changes. You don't have to like the changes, but it's not about changing something doesn't mean you're a disloyal person or hate something that happened in the past.
This comes in. Morris did a better job than Johnson did of explaining the changes. Johnson reminded me of Len Rhodes, and that terrified me.
I thought Chris did a very good job.
He did.
I didn't mind how Stewart did.
No, I thought it was, I thought it was very, to the point.
Yes.
Quit mulling around and just get to it. I thought the video aspect of it did a good job of showing, although the graphics at some point were funny, the way the tacklers moved around the the graphic.
Yes.
I thought that was pretty interesting. Let's see here.
34 Flinching says it's about being different than the NFL, not the fact that we don't like change. Okay, but again, look, I don't know how these changes are going to work. There are a couple that I question, and we'll dive more into that later. But this is still going to be different than the NFL. When you turn the TV on in 2027, you will see a wide field. You will see 3 downs. You will see the opportunity for kick returns. You will not see a fair catch. You will still see a pretty big end zone. There are some things that are going to take some getting used to. I don't really see this as becoming more like the NFL. I see this as the CFL saying, what are some things that we can do? Now, were all these things necessary? I don't know. And I know that's something you want to get into a little bit later on. I get that, but I don't see this as the CFL giving up or saying it's dying or anything like that.
Can I just say the 20-yard end zone to 15 yards? That was, I think, solely done because Toronto's end zone is currently 17. Montreal's end zone doesn't have corners,
right,
that are angular. They cut them off. I think this was just a cheap fix to rectify that.
I think it was a compromise with moving the uprights to the back.
But true, and not, I guess, going to 10 would be really copycat look, right?
Yeah.
Of the NFL. But, I mean, having 2 end zones that aren't up to code is a little bit worrisome, bothersome, at least to me.
Fair enough. Yeah, we'll keep talking about this. It's time for Jay's Play of the Day for Play Alberta. Oh, can I do the theme, Coop?
It's Jay, it's Play, he's Jay, it's today. It's Jay's Play of the Day. It's Jay's Play of the Day. Jay's Play of the Day.
Presented by Play Alberta. Why limit your choices when you can have it all? Play Alberta is your go-to app for casino games, sports betting, and lottery all in one place. With easy access to real money games, you can enjoy everything Alberta has to offer right at your fingertips. Download Play Alberta now and start playing today.
Well, this one's simple. Going to be going to the Monday Nighter. Detroit, Baltimore. Baltimore has given up an average of 8 receptions per game through 2. It's a small sample size, but they give up receptions to tight ends. 8 per game is a large number for tight ends. Considering Sam Laporta from Detroit, the over-under on him right now is 4.5. I like big numbers, especially on a day like today. There's a lot going on, so I said, screw it. I'm going to go for the bigger number. So instead of going Sam Laporta receptions, I went Sam Laporta anytime touchdown. That was plus 232. Play Alberta has boosted it to plus 259. So if you want to ride with Jay, go over to playalberta.ca, click on sports, click on EST specials, and you'll see it right there. Jay's Play of the Day, Sam Laporta, anytime touchdown score. You got the early bird bet over there, which is Derrick Henry to score a touchdown. Jahmyr Gibbs over 3.5 receptions. That's boosted to plus 163. And the Grand Est parlay, Peralta 6+ strikeouts, Athletic Bilbao to win. Cool. Montreal Canadiens to win. And Zay Flowers, 5+ receptions. That's at plus 500. Whew. Got a loaded, some loaded specials over there. And always remember to use your game sense.
Jay's play of the day for Play Alberta. Troy Westwood, former CFL kicker. Here's what he posted. Moving the goalposts long overdue makes scoring TDs safer and easier. A shortened field goal makes scoring TDs easier. More scoring is good. He also says smaller end zone is no biggie. He said no more rouges unless the returner kneels in the end zone. I now go from 6th all-time leading scorer to the 27th. So he's having some fun there as well. Yeah, this is an interesting discussion. We will keep on it. Duane Forde from TSN is going to jump in. Here comes the 4 o'clock break.
The Lock Shop.
First of all, I got to get your thoughts, man. What do you think of this today? They did a great job in having some real suspense in this. And listen, I know a lot of hardcore CFL fans were somewhat concerned about what could be. There were some things that I expected to be mentioned that weren't. But at face value of what they said, I mean, I can totally understand why they're making some of these changes. There's not one thing that Stewart Johnston mentioned that's going to change that would be a hill to die on for me personally.
The Lock Shop, weekday mornings at 11, only on Edmonton Sports Talk. Your clear choice for Edmonton sports.
Your home for live music and great performances is the River Cree Resort and Casino.
Just wasting gas. Whoa, blurring them dotted lines, killing.
Don't miss 3-time CCMA Performer of the Year, Dallas Smith, Unplugged, November 1st at the River Cree Resort and Casino. Get your tickets at rivercreeresort.com. River Cree Resort and Casino. Excitement, bet on it.
Lobsterfest is back at the Canadian Brewhouse. Saturday, October 4th at 6 p.m. A pound and a half of fresh Atlantic lobster with all the fixins for just $49.99. Pair it with a stein of Alexander Keith. Details at thecanadianbrewhouse.com.
Weiss Johnson, whoa.
Hi, Dennis from Weiss Johnson here, and we're excited to be partnering up with the Nielsen Show and have a special deal exclusive for Nielsen Show listeners. Get 10% off any new Train furnace, air conditioner, or heat pump installation from now until the end of October. Bundle a furnace with an AC or heat pump and get 25% off the package price. Get your home comfort now for all seasons with Weiss Johnson and Train. Train, it's hard to stop a train. Visit wjsportstalk.com today.
You've heard the name, but what does it mean? For over 66 years, William Huff Advertising has supplied signage from screen printing to digital to LED with design, production, and install in-house. It's a one-stop shop for all your signage needs. Edmonton owned and operated, William Huff has been trusted by the biggest companies and teams in the City of Champions and many others across the country to do the job. If you're looking for a way to get the word out about your company or event, they are the answer. Go to www.williamhuff.com. Their results speak for themselves.
The CFL has announced some big changes coming to the game. Starting next season, the Rouge will no longer award a point for a missed field goal or when a kickoff or punt sails through the end zone. And team benches will also move to opposite sides of the field, with the game clock becoming an automated 35-second timer. For the 2027 season, the field shrinks to 100 yards, end zones down to 15, having the uprights shift to the back of the end zones. And from Dallas, Cowboys superstar CeeDee Lamb suffered a left high ankle sprain in the first half of last night's game against the Bears. He could be out for up to 3 to 4 weeks. Elsewhere, Nick Bosa of the 49ers requires season-ending surgery. He tore his right ACL last night against the Cardinals, and tonight Baltimore plays host to Detroit. Catch the game down at Selly's Sports Bar and Lounge at Center Casino on Fort Road to join Lieutenant Eric for the matchup. Kickoff for that one goes at 6:15. I'm Zachary Kubich. That was your Sports Update. Hour 2 of the Reid Wilkins Show starts right now.
All right, thanks a lot for tuning in this afternoon. Along with Jay Milne, I'm Reid Wilkins, Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports, presented by Play Alberta. Zachary Kubish is at the technical desk. Yes, significant changes in the CFL today. I guess fairly minor ones for next season. The benches will go to the opposite sides in every stadium. That's a no-brainer. The single point can only be scored if the ball is touched in the end zone by the team on the other end of the kick. And the play clock will go to 35 seconds, which in my mind, Jay, won't have a massive impact. It'll just mean that it's running all the time as opposed to this dead zone that we have now while the ball is set. In 2027, the field is shortened from 110 to 100. The end zone is shortened from 20 to 15, and the uprights will go from the goal line to the back of the end zone. Those three are bigger than the other three.
But I do think you will find teams trying to catch defenses that are changing out players. You see it in the NFL with a running play clock. Or the play clock.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's another way for the offense to control the pace of the game. Yep. We'll break that down as we move along as well. We're getting a lot of your opinions. Keep sending them in. You can text the afternoon inbox, 780-218-9999, presented by River Cree Resort and Casino, home of the kitchen restaurant, Sundays and Mondays, 50% off the entire menu. That's available Sundays and Mondays, 5 p.m. until close. Okay, we are pleased to welcome back to the show former CFLer and, of course, now an excellent analyst on TSN. It is Duane Forde. Duane, you're on with Reid and Jay. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys doing today?
Yeah, doing very well. Man, oh man. Thanks for doing this. We could probably keep you for 3 hours, but we'll keep it to a normal segment length. I mean, I'll start generally. I think that's a good enough place to start. What struck you the most when you started getting wind of these changes?
I would say the thing that probably struck me the most, honestly, was a little bit of a sense of relief. I had a little bit of a heads up, I guess, of what was coming. And for me, it was, while the changes are significant, the way I have described it is, for me as a CFL lifer, I mean, a guy who grew up as a hardcore fan of this league and a family of season ticket holders and played in the league for 12 years and have been broadcasting ever since in this league. I'm very invested, and there are certain hills on which I will die in protecting what I will call the identity of the Canadian game. And as significant as some of the changes are, and maybe affect some of the, what you would call quirks or unique items about the Canadian Football League, I would say for me, those die on a hill items, things like 12 people on the field, the ratio, 3 downs, unlimited pre-snap motion. Those kinds of ideas were not touched. And, I would like to think that the commissioner and the board of governors are smart enough to recognize that there is a line and have some sense of where that line is. One of the points that I will make is, I know a lot of people will look at the 50-yard field and the goalpost at the back of the end zone. These are actually things that were thought out when you hear the rationale behind them, but people will look at them and immediately think, this is starting to sound a little bit too much like American football. And I get that, but I truly don't believe that this is what this is about. Again, I think that those ideas were thought out, but those are things that aren't as critical, I guess, in what is really the fabric of the Canadian game. Now, I will say the other side of it for me is, there have been, whether you want to call them rules or some changes surrounding policies, ideas in the Canadian Football League in the past that have been presented that I think sometimes there is a particular outcome that is anticipated. And then when it comes to coaches in games or general managers in the offseason in terms of dealing with some of these rule changes, their strategy for dealing with them isn't necessarily the same as what the people making the changes had anticipated, and you get some unintended consequences. I think there are potential unintended consequences here. I look specifically at, the moving of the goalposts, and the idea is, in short, I mean, we can talk a little bit about why the feeling is that it will have the desired impact. But when you talk about moving the goalposts, the idea is that this will lead to, while fewer field goals, more touchdowns. But in the idea as well, like, because it's going to be harder to kick field goals, because ultimately you have to get closer to the goal line to kick a field goal. You will have to get closer than you currently have to get, right? The number that I've used is, say, for a 55-yard field goal. Right now, for a 55-yard field goal, you only need to be on the opponent's 48-yard line.
Mm-hmm.
But moving forward with 15-yard end zones, you're going to need to be at the opponent's 33-yard line. So you're going to have to be more successful offensively to even get into field goal range. And I think this is why they take the 10 yards out in the middle of the field, is to sort of make the field a little shorter and give people a chance. And that's why they make the end zones shorter, is to move the goalposts a little bit closer after you've moved them farther away, essentially.
Yeah.
But I think that part of the risk is where they maybe anticipate that with teams having to go farther to get into field goal range, that you're going to see teams gamble more on third down, and that'll create excitement. Offenses will be trying to stay on the field. I'm not necessarily convinced of that, because I think that today's CFL is, I don't want to say risk averse, but it's a little bit about risk management, right? When you talk about the shorter, quick passing game, and teams don't attempt long field goals as much as they did 20 or 30 years ago. They just don't. And so I think when you look at a little bit of that mentality, are teams going to gamble on third down, or are they going to be punting for field position from the opponent's 40-yard line? And so it may not have the desired outcome. And, I mean, that remains to be seen. And I know that this has become something of a dissertation of an answer. You guys suggested you could keep me for 3 hours. I might keep you for 3 hours in trying to describe some of this. But I mean, the thing that I would say is, from a very positive point of view in this, I would say, historically, I would say that there are a lot of things, ideas, rules, concepts that the Canadian Football League has clung to in terms of the way they do things, because that's the way they've always done them. And there hasn't necessarily been, what I would call auditing and editing to make things better. And so for me, I think it's a positive that process is happening, that there is a desire to look at things and go, how can we make this better? And it's about change for the better, not just change for the sake of change, but actually, doing some research, considering things, and, taking some chances for the sake of trying to make things better. And I appreciate that approach to it.
Great answer, and I like how you explain unintended consequences. And here at EST, we were throwing that around in the office this morning. Is that, could this become a league of pooch punting as opposed to gambling? So you kind of outlined that. Duane Forde joining us from TSN. I don't know if you've seen or heard about the Nathan Rourke comments. He called the rule changes garbage. Yep. And said that he didn't understand why players and coaches were consulted. Now, maybe some were, but just not him. I don't know. But as a former player yourself, like, do you buy that there should be a competition committee, kind of like the NHL, that would include players in a process like this? Or does Nathan Rourke need to accept he's an employee and the owners decided that they want to do this?
I actually agree with him very strongly about this. I noticed that the league is very careful to not call these rule changes, because there is a rules committee, right? And they meet in the off season. There are some aspects of this that I know that the rules committee will actually be reviewing, considering, adjusting, etc. Small parts of it. But this is where sometimes I think that the unintended consequences come from. And I had a conversation this afternoon where, the way I explain this is, you guys as hockey fans have probably heard the old stories of the NHL in like the 1980s when Roger Neilson was coaching. And I've heard stories about the NHL when they were considering making rule changes. Like Roger Neilson was kind of the king of the loophole, right? And so they would go to Roger Neilson and say, okay, we're considering making this rule change. Roger, what's the loophole? You know what I mean? Like actually consider, like from a coaching point of view, like what are coaches actually going to do? What is their strategic adjustment actually going to be to the rules? And I think sometimes that those things aren't necessarily considered enough. That, I think sometimes that at a league level, at a board of governors level, people get an idea and think, well, yeah, this is obviously what's going to happen. And then when it comes to the coaches, who are the ones actually, or the general managers in some instances, when you talk about, roster rules and things like that, that their response strategically isn't necessarily what is anticipated by the CFL's business people. The football people handle it a little bit differently, and that's where you end up with the unintended consequences. Like I have said, only half joking, like quite frankly, I mean, if I were running the Canadian Football League, one of the people that I would have considered hiring in a hurry is a guy like Chris Jones, honestly, because Chris was a guy who thought a little bit outside the box and would be the guy looking for the loophole. And so, when you start making changes like these, it would be, well, okay, what are the coaches actually going to do in response to this? How are they going to handle it? And I think it's important that anything you do, I mean, ultimately the business you're in is football, right? That you need to talk to the football people about things that are going to go on the field of play.
Duane Forde joining us here of TSN. First off, your good friend, Supersize Indiana Jones, wanted to say hi in the nasty chat. That's a
Big Uke.
Yeah, Big Uke. Yes.
That's my guy.
He said that was. I just saw him recently at the SD Awards, where he cleaned up, by the way, and he said that was probably one of the greatest moments in his life. So, kudos to you, Duane. He appreciates that. Now, Duane, I know, I was kind of excited for you today. Okay, when I heard about these changes coming, I said, you know what? I'm excited for my buddy Duane Forde, because seeing a commissioner like Stewart Johnston that is willing to go out there and say, I'm putting my stamp on this, I'm making these changes. Do you now think this is the next step in something that you've wanted for a long time? I know Reid, the host of this show, definitely wants, is to get rid of the divisions in the CFL and just go to a 9-team league.
Well, that is something that, when you look at the changes today and, you think about it. I mean, whatever you're feeling about, the CFL keeping some of its quirks and things like that, I think we can also argue that the goalpost rule and the rouge rule are things that immediately just make sense, right? Not having the goalpost in the middle of the field of play makes sense. However you feel about the history of them. Only awarding a point on the rouge basically when the receiving team has a chance to return the ball, I think that makes sense. As far as the playoff format, I'll put it this way, because I have given this a lot of thought, and I am looking towards, posting another video soon with Luke Wilson talking about the playoff format and the regular season schedule, because they're two things that go hand in hand. And what my big point is that in any sports league, the regular season schedule and the playoff format are two things that need to be in alignment. And currently, the CFL's regular season schedule and its playoff format aren't in alignment at all. And so there's a need to change those things. And I mean, just to give what I suppose would be the preview or quick explanation of what I mean is, you have this division-based playoff format, but for a division-based playoff format, you need to play an unbalanced schedule, like a division-heavy schedule, that you're basically competing more during the season with the teams that you're competing with for playoff position on your side of the bracket. And that's not the case in the Canadian Football League. And I think, so in a nutshell, you either need to change the playoff format or change the schedule. And it's easier, and I think makes more sense to change the playoff format in a 9-team league.
Duane, this is Reid again. You got an ally with me. Make it 1 through 9. The top 6 get in. It creates more possibilities, keeps more teams alive for more positions. I mean, the team in 5th, are they going to drop out, or are they going to go up to 3rd and get a home game? Like, it's just way more fun. So if you ever need an ally, give me a buzz and I'll weigh in. Hey,
I appreciate it. And I'll go into more detail. As I said, like we'll do another video and I'll go into more detail and explain even some of the math behind it and everything. But the current playoff format, I will say flat out, it doesn't make sense. B, it is completely unfair. So, we'll kind of start from that.
Duane, thanks for making time for us. This was an excellent segment. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. I love the stuff, especially on unintended consequences. That gives us even more to talk about. Really appreciate it. Hope to have you on the show again soon.
Hey, my pleasure, guys. Anytime.
Duane Forde checking in from TSN, and obviously a former player and a very well-spoken guy who is good at explaining his thoughts. And he made a good point. So we're thinking that, okay, maybe coaches will gamble now. And he says, well, it's a lot of risk-averse coaches in the CFL.
That's what Matt said.
Right.
Matt Iwanek was dead set on that. If he hasn't seen it yet from coaches, so why would they change?
Right. If they're 3rd and 3 on the other team's 32, or are they going to go for it, or are they going to try to find a punter who can punt it exactly 30 yards out of bounds and pin the team at the 2-yard line?
Well, that's a big point. Is directional punting is now going to take on a whole new meaning.
Right.
Because it can't go into the end zone. It literally can't. Well, it can, but it's going to cost your team dearly.
Right.
In the form of the other team receiving the ball on the 40-yard line.
Right. Yeah, that was good stuff from Duane. So we'll continue breaking that down. We're going to do some what ifs. We do have some other. We'll talk Elks and Oilers in terms of some of the stuff on the field too. But we have to get to something very special here, Jay. It is presented by 100.3 The Bear. It is the afternoon headlines presented by 100.3 The Bear. Edmonton's best rock. Stream them on iHeart today.
This is Chet Palmer with your sports report. Well, they're putting the rules in a mixing machine in the old CFL. 100-yard field, 15-yard end zone, and those uprights are going to the end line. What would Spaghetti Legs Jackie Parker think? Well, I'd ask him if I could only catch up to him. The Oilers played the Flames last night. That's right. 2 games, same teams. That's just preseason flapdoodle. Watch out, Lions. Lamar Jackson wants to take your pride. Or maybe the Motor City crew is going to gas those Ravens. Monday Night Football. I'm Chet Palmer.
His typewriter always runs out of ribbon before he's done.
Well, it's probably hard to replace. You can only have so many words per day.
You can only have so many.
Yeah.
You have so many. You only have so many.
Nice to hear from Chet. But I got to say.
Chet's on top of stuff.
I really want to get to know him more. I want to see, what makes Chet Palmer tick.
Well, maybe someday you'll get that opportunity.
Hey, a one-on-one with Chet Palmer.
One-on-one with Chet Palmer. I don't know if he could speak. I think he just does the short.
I think it'd be hard for him.
Short little stories.
It'd probably have to be on phone because I don't know if he understands.
I think he'd do a payphone.
Computers.
He's like putting in the coins for morning.
Hey, kid, you got a quarter? I got to talk to Jason Milne.
Are there even payphones out there anymore?
I don't know.
It'd be fun to use one. Make a call. It's probably $1.45 now to make a call.
Someday you should drive somewhere to a payphone and call me during the show and then drive back and finish the show. Hey, if you're watching us on YouTube, give us a thumbs up.
Click, click, click. Must you click? Please, please click. Must you click? You must click. Thumb, thumb, thumb.
Yeah, hit that thumbs up button on YouTube. If you have already done so, click the share button and text or email the link to the show to somebody who you think would enjoy it or needs to check it out. If you're taking us in on iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, we appreciate that as well. Maybe you're listening in the future on a podcast. Remember to subscribe to the Reid Wilkins Show, the Nielsen Show, the Hangout, the Lock Shop, Two Guys and a Goalie, EST Afternoons, all our great programming. Subscribe to those podcasts. And EST has grown a lot in 2+ years. Help us keep growing. We're doing what we can. You can chip in a little bit as well. We have a lot. There's a lot of ways to look at this, and we want to keep looking at it, and we want to keep hearing from you. Is there a text you want to read before the break? We'll do a couple when we get back. It's up to you.
This is an interesting one. It's a little wordy, but it'll give you something to think of during the break, okay? To the people out there saying the CFL is selling out to be NFL light. I love football. I grew up going to U of S Huskies games because my uncle was playing. I played 9-man and was lucky to play 1 year post-secondary myself. I now watch my kids play 9-man and 12-man as one of my sons has been fortunate enough at the Team Saskatchewan level. I pay for CJFL subscription because my coworker friends play in that league. Funny thing about my experience is that all those leagues have different rules from the other, but it's all football. The field size in 9-man football is smaller than 12. Oh, the humanity. The griping and moaning about change to me is crazy. I fell in love with football, not where the goalposts are or field goal attempt yardages. Some rules will work, some won't, but let's give things a try. It will still be football.
I think that's a good point. And I mean, yeah, we're not going to see these on the field for 19 months or whatever it is till what would be June of 2027. I guess the big ones the stuff we're going to see next year will be noticeable, but I don't think is major. Yeah. And obviously the things with the benches. I mean, that's just, I'm glad Stewart just probably stepped up and told the owners, I don't care about your LED advertising. Yeah. We look like a high school, you know, get on the other side. My worry would be sort of what Duane said. Would this become a league of pooch punting, or will this become a league of failed third down gambles? You know, like,
yeah, but you know, I think once you start going for third down gambles and incorporating that into your play calling from first down,
or if you know if the coach in that tells zone, you in the headset, you got 3 chances.
If you're in that 25 to 35 yard zone,
right?
As an offensive play caller, you now have to call it as if you have 3 downs.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I think it'll be different. I think it'll adapt. And what's more exciting than a third down gamble? What brings a crowd up off their feet?
Yeah,
right. Either defense
and
or
maybe
offense.
2 on a drive that aren't
very well could.
Sneaks. Yeah. All right, 780-218-9999 is how you can text us. You can keep posting in the nasty chat on YouTube as well. Buying or selling for Damon Bunting when we get back.
Starting in 2026, the CFL will see the first wave of major changes. Team benches will now be on the opposite side of the field. The game clock will now be an automated 35-second timer, with the rouge being tweaked, meaning no points awarded for a missed field goal, kickoff, or punt that rolls through the end zone. In 2027, the field will be shortened to 100 yards, having the goalposts pushed back to the condensed 15-yard end zones. In NFL news, Nick Bosa has been rolled out for the rest of the season. The 49er tearing his right ACL yesterday against Arizona. And for the Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb could be sidelined for up to 3 to 4 weeks after he sustained a left high ankle sprain, being ruled out by halftime in last night's contest in Chicago. And according to ESPN, Najee Harris of the Chargers has torn his Achilles. He's done for the season. And on the field tonight, the Ravens and Lions clash at 6:15. Join Lieutenant Eric for the game down at Sally's Sports Bar and Lounge at Century Casino on Fort Road. 3 games. The MLB slate. Atlanta plays host to Washington to begin the night at 5:15. This sports update is brought to you by Windsor Plywood Leduc, locally owned and operated, serving Leduc and surrounding areas since '93. They have doors, flooring, baseboards, and of course, plywood. Go see the knowledgeable staff today at Windsor Plywood Leduc. Buying or selling for Damon Bunting next on the Reid Wilkins Show. I'm Zachary Kubish, and you're up to date.
The Nielsen Show with Lieutenant Eric.
Mike Tenier, 2 Deep Zone, joins us as he does every Monday.
I look at Brian Dable and I think he's trying to salvage his job. He's 0-3 right now, so his back is to the wall. The last chip he can play is putting Jackson Dart out there. And he wants to put Jackson Dart out there in a game that he thinks Dart is going to go out there, get the win, get some momentum, and look like a hero. Then maybe that's enough so that as the season goes on, I can hold on to my job.
The Nielsen Show with Lieutenant Eric. Weekday mornings 6 to 9. Only on Edmonton Sports Talk. Your clear choice for Edmonton sports.
When you cater with Royal Pizza, you're getting the same great pizzas, pastas, and salads you love, just bigger and built for a crowd. Perfect for teams, offices, or parties, Royal Pizza's catering brings real value around $10 per person. Delicious, high quality, and easy. If you like their pastas, you'll love their catering pastas even more. Visit royalpizza.ca or contact your local store for exact pricing and details.
So come on home, Royal Pizza, still making it great.
When gambling, set a budget before you play. Stay informed and visit GameSenseAB.ca to learn how. Remember, if you gamble, use your game sense. Your home for live music and great performances is the River Cree Resort and Casino.
Just wasting gas.
Don't miss 3-time CCMA Performer of the Year, Dallas Smith, Unplugged, November 1st at the River Cree Resort and Casino. Get your tickets at rivercreeresort.com. River Cree Resort and Casino. Excitement, bet on it.
Since 1952, William Huff has been the heartbeat of Edmonton's advertising world. From humble beginnings to a citywide powerhouse, we've been the go-to for signage from print to design and installation. Partnering with Edmonton's top sports franchises and major events, we've helped shape the city's global reputation. Our secret? Unmatched customer service, decades of experience, and a passion for excellence we call the William Huff Advantage. Visit us online at williamhuff.com.
4:32. Hope you're having a great afternoon. Heavy discussion on the CFL rule changes here on the Reid Wilkins Show with Jason Milne. We are in the Canadian Brewhouse studio. Win big this football season at the Canadian Brewhouse. Enter for a trip for 2 to Super Bowl LX. I think that's 60. Plus weekly prizes. Should I just talk always in Roman numerals from now on?
Please.
Flames, aye. Oilers, aye. In overtime last night. I better just start this one over. Win big this football season at the Canadian Brewhouse. Enter for a trip for 2 to Super Bowl 60. Plus weekly prizes, $1 off Budweiser and Bud Light tankards. Details at thecanadianbrewhouse.com. My one buddy was hoping that they were going to switch to the metric system for the CFL. He's been a big proponent of that. That is not happening. Well, we got a couple interesting takes in the nasty chat. You can text 780-218-9999. We'll do buying or selling. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious what we're doing here, but for buying or selling, but we'll get to some specific stuff as well. Buying or selling for Damon Bunting, a consistent top-producing realtor in the greater Edmonton area for over 18 years. He and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current home. Community-driven, he understands what it takes to make a difference in our city. Check him out, DamonBunting.com. Instagram handle, Damon Bunting Real Estate.
Buying or selling? And this is, I mentioned this earlier, but Matt Hyman made a great point. Rules aside, the visual change will be drastic. And I agree. Buying or selling, do you think there's going to be more of effect of the rules or the change of the game more earlier than there is just people not used to the visual of the game?
Well, I think the biggest visual that will change, in my mind, will be the uprights at the back of the end zone.
Yeah.
I think when you're watching a game on TV, sure, you'll be like, oh yeah, there's no 55, but I don't know if that's going to be stunning. I think it'll look different to have the end zones a little bit smaller and the uprights at the back of the end zone.
Yes, and seeing your team moving the ball and ending up on the 30-yard line and not being in chip shot territory. Not kicking a 37-yarder.
Yeah.
At that point, it would be a 52-yarder.
Right.
That's going to take some getting used to. Like the red zone. If your team's on the 20, well, that's still a 42-yard field goal.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's what they want.
Yeah. I understand that's what they want, but the visual side of this will be interesting. Buying or selling? I mean, which of these, Reid? I don't know if I got an exact or like a definite answer from you. Which of these 6? Well, I'm not even going to include the play clock. Well, I'll include the play clock, but the benches.
The benches thing is and I don't know if this was Stewart Johnston telling the owners, because now actually a majority of the owners have benches on the same side. So whoever took the initiative, whether it was him or the other 4 owners or refs or whoever, thank goodness. Like it's crap having them on the same side. You look like a high school football game.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that to me, I can't see anybody complaining about that.
No. What of these rules, well, do you think will have the greatest impact on the game itself?
Well, I think the uprights going to the back of the end zones. Because like you just said, now it changes the length of attempting a field goal. The percentages of making a field goal from a certain yard line are going to dip dramatically. I mean, I think right now, if you get inside the 40, you're expecting your kicker should make it most of the time.
Yep.
And then inside the 30, almost all the time. Inside the 20, let's face it, you could make it. So, well, you're pretty athletic.
I could try. Be good.
But I think the overall biggest impact, that'll be it. Because that's going to affect tactical decisions.
Big time.
Because you can't just get 3 points.
And I'm interested to see how much it impacts tactical decisions. Because I think you're going to have 2 very different opinions on this from coaches throughout the league. I mean, you see what happened with Dan Campbell in Detroit. He's Mr. 4th down. I mean, that's worked out well for them sometimes. It hasn't worked out in other times. But I think if you looked at his numbers, it would suggest to go for it on 4th down.
Right.
Maybe that happens here in the 3rd down. Buying or selling, Reid? I think it's clear to say the reason for this was to improve the game or grow the game. At least that's the way they're selling it, by adding points. Points equals excitement. Excitement gets fans up. Fans, more tickets, blah, 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 blah. Do you think these rule changes are going to bring new viewers and watchers to the CFL?
I don't know. That's a little bit why I struggle with this. I shouldn't say struggle. Other than the rouge and the benches on the same side, but again, to me, that's not even worth debating. Other than the rouge, which of these things were people really complaining about? Right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've had, even in the year I've been at Edmonton Sports Talk, there's been a lot of discussion on the rouge.
I think the biggest complaint that we've seen, that we've heard, is the Americanization of the game.
But I really don't think that's happening.
But it's not. But visually, I can understand, as it's now a 100-yard field with goalposts at the end. Mm-hmm. I can understand why you think that is. But this is still a 65-yard field. Eric said it earlier. It's going to turn into a square.
Yeah, maybe.
But 3-down football, 65-yard field, it's not Americanized. But I do understand why the visual side of it. Yeah, you might think so.
Yeah, I realize it'll look different. It'll look like an NFL field somewhat to have the uprights at the back of the end zone. But I think some very key things are remaining here. And you just touched on them. 12 men, 3 downs, yard off the ball. The waggle is still there. I mean, someone texted me, one of my buddies texted me and said, I hope they get rid of the waggle because the receivers are always offside. No, I hope they don't get rid of the waggle. And as Justin McInnes, a CFL ref, said on our show earlier this week, he goes, they aren't off and offside. They can move with the snap of the ball, not when the quarterback catches it.
Yeah.
So visually it looks offside when it usually isn't. I don't think this is an effort to make it more like the NFL. I don't think this is an effort to get bought by the NFL. I don't think this is an effort to get an NFL team in Toronto. I mean, that's just lunatic thinking, quite frankly. This is an effort by a new commissioner who's not afraid to make change, who is making change. Doesn't mean you have to agree with the change or like it or even think it was necessary. I'm not convinced all of this was. But he also decided, okay, let's try something. Let's actually try something. And what have we heard? I've certainly heard it in 12 years hosting a talk show, and even you with 1 year, but we're both still football fans. What do we hear sometimes? Well, the CFL's got to modernize. They got to shake it up. They got to do something. Now they do something. Well, not that. What do you mean, Reid and Jay? Not that. That's not what I'm talking about doing. Okay, what do you want done? Well, not that. That's stupid. Not how dare they do that? Okay. Well, again, what do you want done? Well, not that. So I mean, you can't win, right? Like you can't win. Is this going to make more people watch? I really don't know. I really don't know. Maybe in 2027 when it actually happens. And I mean, people are watching. And the cities with good teams have good attendance. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just because the Elks are doing poorly and attendance is down doesn't mean that that's happening in every place. I mean, you know, Montreal, Saskatchewan, some of the other successful teams are actually drawing fans. But is this going to make... I don't know. I mean, maybe Stewart Johnston is not thinking about the fans in 2027 and 2028. Maybe he's thinking about the fans in 2032. You know, like, can we just keep doing the same thing year after year and recognizing there are tweaks that can be made? I mean, and constantly saying, well, tradition. Well, it's always been that way. I mean, you can put that off forever, you know? Well, I shouldn't eat a full pizza before bed. I'll just do it one more night. I'll just do it another month. Well, I weigh 800 pounds. I wonder how that happened. You know what I mean? Like, so in even though I'm not sure about all these, and then as Duane used a great term, unintended consequences. Yeah, maybe. But I do respect the fact that they are trying to change something. I don't mind that. And I don't think it's change for change's sake. I mean, they've clearly done some research. Even though Nathan Rourke said that about the goalposts, clearly they have some other information about the goalposts. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, because he said that teams don't target the middle of the field very often when they're in the red zone. So, I mean, they had some information there. He had some numbers about how there probably will be more touchdowns scored by moving the uprights. So they're not just saying, let's just do stuff. Like they're doing stuff that they think is going to work. Now, I'm not guaranteeing that it's going to be right, but I do think they put some thought into this. Well, I know they have. But is it going to make, is it something fans were clamoring for, or is it going to make more people, millions of more people want to watch? I don't know.
Interesting take here, because our text line, the River Cree Resort and Casino inbox, is buzzing today. 780-218-9999. Tom Dixon's mustache says, boys, not intended consequence right now is my season tickets are at the 5-yard line on the south side of the stadium. In 2 years, my seats are at the back of the end zone. The 3 sections that sit behind me are going to be 20-some yards away from the end zone. Will you be able to sell those seats? That's an interesting point. As somebody that's
a really good point. And
right now on the 5-yard line.
And I think that's part of the reason they did the field change for 2027 as opposed to 2026, is that stuff like that is going to have to be sorted out. Like if you like sitting on the 5 or wherever, and midfield isn't necessarily going to be where midfield is now in all the stadiums. They could shift it
one way.
They could say, okay, this is still going to be the end line, and then we'll go off from there.
Well, they could shift it towards, say, in Edmonton, okay? They could shift it towards the Elks locker room and build up, non-permanent seating in the other end zone.
Right.
Where it's just bench seating now.
Right. The end line at the south end could remain the end line. So then midfield would be.
And that would open up a lot of end zone seats.
Right, but then you got all those people at that other end that would have to be moved in.
Well, yeah. So this is a legitimate, right off the bat from Tom Dixon's mustache, something that's going to change. Right. Didn't even think of that. Great point.
Yeah.
Chris Sadaway says, I wasn't very optimistic about the changes, hated all of it, except the teams being on opposite sides. But now, hearing what Rourke said, I'm much less optimistic. This seems like ill-thought-out change for the sake of change. Well, Chris, coming up at, when are we doing? 5 o'clock.
Tim's at 5:20, I think.
5 o'clock for Fired Up. I'm going to ask that question. And, why? That's my biggest question. So stick around for that. We will get into it for sure.
We are, of course, Edmonton Sports Talk presented by Play Alberta. Make your bets count for you and everyone else with the Play Alberta app with hundreds of player prop bets on the biggest leagues, NFL, CFL, NHL, NBA, Major League Baseball, you name it. You're not just playing for fun, you're supporting your province. Play Alberta revenue helps fund Alberta programs and services. Deposit $50 today with the promo code YAKE50 and get an exclusive EST $50 free bet to get you started. 4:45, here's the Coop.
Major changes are coming to the CFL starting in 2027. The field will now be 100 yards, having the end zone shortened to 15, with the uprights moving back to the end of the end zones. For next season, an automatic 35-second game clock will be implemented with team benches placed on opposite sides of the field, and the rouge will no longer include a single point for a missed field goal attempt or when punts and kickoffs sail through the end zone. Monday Night Football, it's Ravens and Lions hitting the field. Both teams 1-1 on the season. Enjoy the game alongside Lieutenant Eric down at Selly Sports Bar and Lounge at Century Casino on Fort Road with kickoff at 6:15. In other news, CeeDee Lamb of the Cowboys could miss 3 to 4 weeks with a high ankle sprain he suffered yesterday against the Bears. And in San Francisco, Nick Bosa tore his right ACL last night against the Cardinals. He requires season-ending surgery. On the court, Fred VanVleet of the Rockets could miss the entirety of the upcoming season. He tore his ACL. VanVleet signing a 2-year, $50 million extension back in June. And in baseball, there's 3 games. It all gets underway when the Nationals challenge the Braves at 5:15. I'm Zachary Kubish. That was your sports update. The Reid Wilkins Show continues after the break.
The EST Hangout.
India's ball golf.
Oh, right. Yeah. Don't even get me started.
It was their disc golf,
I've only had
and
3
then
sips
there's
of coffee.
And then there's ball golf.
No, there's not. There's golf, and then there's disc golf. Nobody asks, what? Hey, I'm going golfing today.
Yeah.
Oh,
which one?
Nobody in the history of the world, except disc golfers, have asked that question.
The EST Hangout, presented by Sentinel Storage. Weekday mornings 9 to 11, only on Edmonton Sports Talk. Your clear choice for Edmonton sports.
Need extra space for products, tools, or seasonal stock? Sentinel Storage gives your business flexible storage and the room to grow. Affordable storage that scales with you. Try 4 weeks free at sentinelstorage.ca. Buy Canadian, store Canadian.
The leaves are turning, and just like golf season, time is running out to get in on Play Alberta's biggest offer ever. For a limited time only, new players can get up to a $1,000 casino bonus when they sign up. There's never been a better time to join the fun. Visit playalberta.ca today to get started with casino, sports, and lottery all in one app. Must be 18 plus to play. Remember, if you gamble, please use your game sense.
Win big this NFL season at the Canadian Brewhouse presented by Bud Light. You could win a trip to Super Bowl 60, plus prizes like smokers, Bud Light coolers, and a trip to an NFL home opener next season. Enjoy $1 off Bud Light and Budweiser tankers. Details at thecanadianbrewhouse.com.
You've always known GCL Diesel as the experts in diesel fuel systems, but did you know that GCL is also your source for turbochargers and turbo repair? As a turbo supplier for Garrett, Borg Warner, and Holset, GCL can provide genuine original equipment turbos at wholesale prices. Whether it's diesel, gas, natural gas, or performance, we can provide you with the turbo or custom repair you require. Turbo questions? We've got turbo answers. Visit us in the West End or online at GCLDiesel.com. GCL Diesel, turbochargers, understood.
Must you click?
All right, yeah, give us a thumbs up if you're on YouTube. We're about 20 away from 100, which is pretty good because we still got over an hour left in the show. We try to get to at least 100 every show, so give us a click. If you've already clicked it, give us a share and encourage somebody else to check out the show. I think this says little bit. It says, I understand increasing touchdowns, but practically eliminating field goals sucks as a way to accomplish that. If I wanted less kicking, I'd watch NFL. I do not like these changes as an American fan. Well, and you know what? That makes perfect sense. I mean, there likely will be less kicking. There will likely be fewer field goal attempts, given what the CFL is doing. There may even be a little bit less punting, quite frankly, especially from certain parts of the field. Now, again, I've heard both. I've heard people say too much kicking in the CFL, especially if you have a quarter where both teams are sloppy and they're going 2 and out or getting 1 first down and then failing, and it gets a little ping-pongy. I get that. I totally get that. I will also understand this. The missed field goal return will go the way of the dodo, except on, I guess, a long field goal that is short.
Yeah.
So when Rene Paredes, one of the most exciting plays of the year for the Elks, and it didn't even result in a touchdown. What were the Elks up, 6 or 7 or 8
I forget
at the time?
exactly, yeah.
But Paredes misses the field goal. Javon Leake grabs it, 10 to 15 yards deep in his end zone, takes it back into the Calgary end of the field, and the Elks kick the field goal that, for all intents and purposes, put that game away. And
Good point.
the crowd was going nuts because he was he was one hack to the ankle away from scoring a touchdown. So yeah, we're not going to lose punt returns. There's not going to be a fair catch or anything like that. I mean, it's not getting Americanized. But yes, I would think missed field goal returns will become extremely rare in the CFL. I do think there might be a couple attempts, like, hey, end of the half, you might try to blast a kick with the wind or something. Mm-hmm. I don't know. And maybe it gets run back.
Shrimp City Beach. Are young men in this province playing CFL, NFL, or other rules in their university, college, community football? For the most part, at least with 12-man football, it is the same rules. For the most part. Mm-hmm. Field size, goalpost, end zone, dimensionally, it's the same. So that's a big question, is what happens here. And a reminder that we're going to be joined at 5:20 by Football Alberta's Tim Enger. Tim Enger coached me when I played Team Alberta in 1999. This guy lives and breathes football in this province. So he'll, maybe not yet, but he might have an idea of the direction that they're going to go. Back to the River Cree Resort and Casino inbox. Please keep sending in your takes, whether you like or don't like these changes. We want to hear about it. That's 780-218-9999. Chris says, but Reid, as a 42-year-old lifelong fan, I've never called for modernization. So some of this makes no sense.
No, I get that. Did I use the term modernization? That's maybe a bad term to use. It's changing.
Yeah.
Change
is never easy.
No, it isn't.
And no matter what it is. I mean, the NHL changed icing to no-touch icing.
Right.
And that was met with a lot of, they're softening the game.
Right.
But it actually has limited a lot of injuries. This is a bit of an apples to oranges, I guess, comparison.
No, but I don't think, and like Chris Morris said it earlier, a lot of times when there's change, people are resistant to it. I mean, this is a lot of change.
Yes.
I mean, I guess it's, if you're younger, it's a long time ago. There's been shootouts in the NHL for 20 years. Well, we can't decide a game on a skills competition, can we? 4-on-4 overtime? Are you nuts? Well, 3-on-3, you know how much room there's going to be out there? Well, yeah, that's the point.
Yeah.
No, but this is a lot in one day for a league that, quite frankly, hasn't changed a lot.
And to be honest, for a commissioner that's really new to his role, to come in and do this, right?
Yeah.
I think that might be rubbing some people, purists more so, the wrong way. Whereas others, and this is a real wait and see kind of thing. You or I or Coob or anybody listening don't really know the ramifications of these changes. There's no way.
Well, that's the thing. It's going to be 2 years before we can fully evaluate these, because then we'll be 2/3 of the way through the 2027 season. The stuff next year is virtually nothing. The benches, logical. The change to the rouge is what me and many others have been calling on for years, that there can only be a rouge if the ball is handled in the end zone. And the 35-second play clock will be noticeable, but I think easily adaptable to for fans. Or some fans won't even care, right? Because the pace of the game won't change that much.
It will be interesting, though, to watch the games, the remainder of the CFL season and playoffs, and next year through the lens of thinking about it for 2027.
Right.
And saying, ooh, this would be an interesting situation for the Elks in 2027. What would you do? The Gourdfather has a great example. It's going to be interesting on those end of game where field goal could put the game away, but it's a borderline decision. Could result in some interesting strategy. Kick a field goal to out, away, have the game, and chance a short field goal return, or punt and let the offense actually have a chance to win a game. Could go either way on excitement.
Yeah.
And that is the point here, is that 25 to 35 yard line. That's the area I'm going to say, that 10-yard area is going to be really interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah. I mean, it's... I'm just wondering, could have they done all of this today and just kept the field at 110 yards? Like, still do the same thing with the goalpost in the end zone, but just keep it 110?
But here's a point that's come up a couple times now, and it's hard not to think about. The dimensions of a soccer field are 130 yards. The new proposed size of this football with 100 yards and 15 and 15 is 130.
Right.
Does this make expansion into different markets, possibly with smaller facilities or smaller venues, or already have soccer facilities that they could use?
Yeah.
Does it make it more attractive for expansion?
So you're talking about putting teams in the States again?
I'm not. I'm just asking the question. Does that come into play? Right? I mean...
Oh, maybe. We can fit this cozily into our existing stadium.
Well, there's soccer fields...
Portland, Oregon, everybody.
Well, there's soccer fields everywhere that
there really are.
With, there really is. But now a CFL field will fit on the same pitch as a soccer field.
Yeah. That's an interesting question. Were they thinking about that already? I don't know. I mean, I think if there's going to be a 10th team, it'll be Quebec City. If they go to 12, they might have to go south of the border. And I don't think they want to go deep south like they tried with Birmingham and Shreveport and those places. So I don't know. That's a really good question, Jay.
Oh, it just makes you ponder.
It's a big what if, baby.
It is.
Yeah. The Portland, what would they call them?
Ooh, let's come up with this one. Portland Red Black? Oh, no, you can't do that. The Portland Pirates.
Portland Pirates would be pretty good. Well, there was the Shreveport Pirates. They did not turn out very good.
Oh, that's Eric's fantasy team.
Is it? Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, are they all named after former teams?
Birmingham Barracudas.
Oh, he's the Birmingham. Matt's the Shreveport Pirates.
Yeah.
Sorry, forgive me.
It's okay.
He's not even in anymore. He got bounced.
Yeah. Yeah. This is good discussion. And again, we're telling you what the commissioner and what Chris Morris is saying. They believe that this will lead to more touchdowns and fewer field goals. And they think that that's something you want as a fan. I can't promise that that's going to happen, and I don't know if that's what you want as a fan. You have to tell us what you want. Right? One person wrote in and says that he or she likes kicking and likes a lot of field goals. A last play field goal is certainly exciting, depending which side you're on.
Yeah.
Well, it was still exciting for Elks fans, the last two games. It just didn't, the guy made the kick as opposed to missing it. I think there still will be last play field goals. There still will be dramatic drives. That's not going to end.
Well, and think of that kick that Hamilton put through with an extra 15 yards on it.
Right.
Were they in distance at that point?
Yeah,
probably
there was
not.
a wind. There was a tangible wind.
Into the kicker.
Yeah.
Max Milne in the River Cree Resort and Casino inbox. How do you think you quantify these changes and if it's working or not working? Is it views or is it quality of play?
Both.
I think, honestly, you look at the league scoring average and see if after 4 or 5 years of this, you've seen an uptick in the league scoring average.
Well, Stewart Johnston today said, now he didn't explain the math behind this. He says that moving the uprights to the back of the end zone will lead to 60 more touchdowns a year. I wonder if he could do that again if he meant in combination with having a 100-yard field and shortening. But they think this is going to lead to more touchdowns. So what, there's 81 games total in a season, I believe. So they think there'll be 3 more touchdowns every weekend, basically, because usually there's 4 games a week. Sometimes there's 3.
But here's the thing, okay? NFL offenses this year are averaging 318 yards per game.
Right.
This is the lowest total since 2005 and the third lowest total this century.
Really?
Right now.
The games have been good, though. Like,
low
a lot
scoring.
of exciting games.
And the average drive start is at the 35 this year, which is the highest it's been in almost that long as well.
Mm-hmm.
So do points mean excitement? Do points mean fans, viewers? Right? The NFL is a juggernaut, and it's having its worst scoring year since 2005. But the NFL is just, I guess, they're a proven product. They're the big one.
For sure.
This is came in from Dusty. The commissioner, Stewart Johnston, will be on their show at 7:30 tomorrow morning.
Yeah, awesome.
So that's going to be much listen. I know a lot of you are going to want to tune into that because Dustin's going to get some clarification.
Right.
He's going to ask for, okay, what happens here, especially with this play clock? What happens with the ball?
Well, that's the thing. The play clock's next year, so they're going to have to come up with the new rule for the 3-minute warnings, or again, change it to a 2-minute warning, or add timeouts. I mean, maybe now teams are going to get more timeouts. I don't know.
That'll be an interesting interview. You're going to want to check in for that.
780-218-9999 is how you can text us. It's the afternoon inbox presented by River Cree Resort Casino. Happy hour featuring $5.25 drinks. Available Sunday to Thursday, 9 a.m. until 7 p.m. Click the thumbs up if you're watching us on YouTube. We are almost at 100. We still got an hour left in the show. We got fired up for Gemco. We got the impact on amateur football because of these changes at the pro level. And we got the oil understood for GCL Diesel. All ahead.
2 guys and a goalie.
The thought I had this morning is, what if he is making this, we'll call it a political decision to have eyes on him, not falling on a sword, but carrying a shield, as it were. Because if everyone's asking questions about him, guess what they're not asking about? Guess who hasn't been swamped with stuff heading into the season? Stuart Skinner, Darnell Nurse, Evan Bouchard.
2 guys and a goalie, presented by GS Construction. Tuesday and Thursday afternoons at noon, only on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports.
Looking for quality building materials and friendly advice? Visit us at Windsor Plywood Leduc, family owned and locally run since 1993. From interior materials for doors, flooring, baseboards, and all the finishing touches to all you need for your outdoor projects like cedar lumber for decks and fences, plus all the plywood you'd need. Our full-time on-staff carpenter can help with anything odd-sized or custom, and from domestic hardwoods to exotic selections, we've got you covered. And if we don't have it, we'll track it down for you. Windsor Plywood Leduc. We're the experts you need to know.
Weiss Johnson, whoa.
Hi, Dennis from Weiss Johnson here, and we're excited to be partnering up with the Nielsen Show and have a special deal exclusive for Nielsen Show listeners. Get 10% off any new Trane furnace, air conditioner, or heat pump installation from now until the end of October. Bundle a furnace with an AC or heat pump and get 25% off the package price. Get your home comfort now for all seasons with Weiss Johnson and Trane. Trane, it's hard to stop a train. Visit wjsportstalk.com today.
Fall football in your living room just became the Fan Zone. Before you move in the giant screen, make space to cheer on your favorite team with Sentinel Storage. Try 4 weeks free at sentinelstorage.ca.
Running your own small business takes courage, and as it grows, so does your team. That's why Alberta Blue Cross offers health, dental, life, disability, and wellness benefits designed for small businesses, because we know a healthy team means a thriving business. Join over 5,000 Alberta businesses who have chosen us to help their business grow and succeed. Alberta Blue Cross takes care of you and your employees, so you can take care of your business. Visit ab.bluecross.ca to find a plan that's right for you.
At Mind360, we invite you to embark on your mental health journey in a safe and comfortable space. Conveniently located in St. Albert, Mind360 has a diverse team of experienced clinicians that offer a broad range of tailored services for children, adults, and families. Furthermore, we are very proud to serve our military, veterans, and first responders. If you're looking for counseling, treatment, or assessment, understand that you are not alone. Contact Mind360 at mind360.ca to book an appointment today.
The CFL announced some big changes coming to the game. Starting next season, the Rouge will no longer award a point for a missed field goal or when a kickoff or punt sails through the end zone. And team benches will move to opposite sides of the field, with a game clock becoming an automated 35-second timer. For the 2027 season, the field shrinks to 100 yards. End zones down to 15, having the uprights shift to the back of the end zones as well. And tonight, Baltimore plays host to Detroit. Catch the game down at Sally's Sports Bar and Lounge at Century Casino on Fort Road to join Lieutenant Eric for the matchup. Kickoff for that one is at 6:15. From Dallas, Cowboys superstar CeeDee Lamb suffered a left high ankle sprain in the first half of last night's game against the Bears. He could miss up to 3 to 4 weeks. Elsewhere, Nick Bosa of the 49ers requires season-ending surgery after he tore his right ACL last night against the Cardinals. And ESPN's Adam Schefter has reported that Najee Harris is sidelined for the remainder of the season with a torn Achilles. In NBA news, Houston's Fred Van Fleet tore his ACL. He has a chance to miss the entire 2025-26 season. I'm Zachary Kubish. That was your sports update. Hour 3 of the Reid Wilkins Show starts right now.
Thanks a lot for joining us this afternoon. It's 5:06. Along with Jay Milne, I'm Reid Wilkins, Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports. We are heavily discussing the changes being made by the Canadian Football League. In 2026, a 35-second play clock. The benches will be on opposite sides in every stadium, and the single point can only be scored if the ball is touched by the team receiving the kick in the end zone. You can't boot it through, and it's a point. In 2027, the uprights go to the back of the end zone. The field shrinks to 100 yards, but remains 65 wide. The end zones shrink to 15. Trillin says, I'm really curious what implications the 65-second play clock will have on the 3-minute warning. Yes, as are we. We had Chris Morris on earlier in the show. He said there will be a committee to decide that. That will be significant.
That's the one thing I will not, well, like I have a say, I will not stand for.
You will not stand for that.
They cannot allow a team to kneel it out. That is just not how the CFL has been. That is what has led to classic finishes in the CFL, and that's what's a major differentiator between that and the NFL.
Yeah.
So I was actually, and tune in to tomorrow morning with the Nielsen Show with Lieutenant Eric. You can catch it right here on Edmonton Sports Talk, YouTube, iHeart, TuneIn apps. But you can also now listen to it. It's simulcast on 95.7 Cruise FM, so tell your friends. Stewart Johnston will be on tomorrow at 7:30 a.m., and I would imagine Dusty's going to ask him about that.
Tango says, I don't understand why you make so many changes so quickly. I think that's a good point, too. I guess if I were to answer that, I don't know if Stewart was specifically asked that today or not. I think kind of one led to another. Okay, like if there's the desire to get the uprights off the goal line, okay, well, where are you going to put them? Well, you got to put them at the back of the end zone. Well, then it's 20 yards. Then you're adding 27 yards to the length of every field goal from the line of scrimmage. So then you make the end zone a little smaller. And then maybe as a result of that, they decide to go to a 100-yard field goal. So I think I think that they kind of see let me put it this way. as much as we're reading this off as 6 changes, I think it's technically 3 changes. The benches, the rouge, and then everything else you could look at as one change that all links together. Well, maybe even you can kind the rouge into that.
Well, the rouge goes along with the post to the back of the end zone.
Right.
With the end zone only being 15 yards and the entire length of the field being 100.
Right.
So yeah, that is a modification
that could be all working
of the
together.
actual playing surface.
Right. And again, I don't know if these are going to work. I don't know if I like everything about this. I don't mind trying it. I'm curious, but they have fairly clearly laid out why they are doing this. They being the CFL. Both the commissioner, Chris Morris, was on. They think this is going to lead to more touchdowns. That's what they're saying. Mm-hmm. Not more scoring. I want to be clear. They don't think the scoring is going to go from 27-24 to 41-38. They think more points will be scored via the touchdown. So maybe the drives are 4 or 5 plays longer. You know, if you're gambling or you're sticking with it, or things like that. That's the sell job from the CFL today. That I can only it's my job to tell you what they are thinking.
Yep.
To simplify it if I can.
No, that's a fair point. Just because they're looking for more touchdowns doesn't necessarily they're going to be higher scoring games.
Yeah.
It'd be higher turnover ratios.
Yeah. Like I could say to you, Jay, I'm going to golf blindfolded. Why are you doing that? I think I can shoot lower. And then someone says to Jay, why is your buddy golfing blindfolded? He thinks it's going to make him a better golfer. Well, what do you think, Jay? I think he's a moron.
TBD,
but I'm telling
bro.
you what he thinks.
TBD, bro.
I probably could golf blindfolded better.
I doubt it. Yeah. Jay from Salt Spring says many amateur Canadian football players, they go to the NFL and have no problem switching over to the rules. As long as we get kids playing the game and learning how to do the basics, they can switch whenever. No need to change your rule to match the new CFL rules. And that's a fair point.
They could just keep playing high school football.
But my question is
fields.
that,
right.
Okay, the provincial championship is held sometimes at McMahon Stadium,
right,
or at Commonwealth. The junior national championship is often held at CFL stadiums or universities. Like when and who switches is going to have an impact.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're still going to have to figure that out. Time to get fired up for Gemco Fireplaces, proudly serving Edmonton and area for 45 years. The authorized dealer for Napoleon Fireplaces. Whether it's gas or wood burning, look no further than Canadian-made Napoleon Fireplaces. All the Napoleon products you need available at Gemco, 9281 50th Street, Mr. Milne.
Well, look, I'm going to say it. Why? Why is there a change? Now, I'm not poo-pooing on the changes. I have a wait-and-see approach. I don't think it is going to kill the CFL. It might better it. Is it going to bring fans? I don't know. But why? Are these moves critical to the league's existence? Was the CFL going to die in 5 years if it weren't for these rule changes? Is the CFL broken as it currently exists? I don't think so. So that's kind of my point here is this just changing rules to change rules? I mean, obviously the CFL thinks that there is, and trust me, the only thing the CFL is worried about has been alluded to several times today throughout our whole entire day, is the CFL is a business. What do businesses like to do? What do businesses need to do? They need to make money. Well, how do they make money? Butts in seats, fans watching. Advertisers pay more for a bigger product. You have 10 million viewers as opposed to 5. Well, guess what? Those rates just got doubled for advertisers. It's all about money, okay?
Yep.
This should be no surprise to anyone. But does this increase that? Do these rule changes increase that and increase fan engagement, excitement, seats in butts?
Yeah.
Or butts in seats.
Right.
Which will then ultimately gain the CFL more money. Otherwise, this is just changing rules for the sake of changing rules, for the sake of spicing things up.
Yeah.
Or, and this is dark, Jay, or is this just slowly prepping us CFL fans for the inevitable change to 4-down CFL.
I don't believe that personally.
I don't. I do not believe that.
But I know some people are, well, you can be worried for sure.
Why? Usually change happens when something is needing to be changed.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like the CFL needed to be changed?
No, but I understand that there were things that people complain about, whether they were justified or not.
The rouge.
Such as the rouge.
That's one,
and
yes.
at times, too much kicking. I'd like to see more touchdowns. I'd like to see, a little more action. Maybe this will lead to that. I think that.
But is more touchdowns and more scoring going to guarantee you more viewers in person and on TV? Is it? I think that's an honest question. My brain says, well, yeah, it probably should.
Yes, okay,
but does it?
But I've been watching this. Well, even this game against Edmonton and Hamilton. Were there not 9 total field goals and only 4 total touchdowns?
There's a ton of lead changes.
In a game with a lot of lead changes and some good tension and some good action, I've never, I didn't think about it the way Stewart Johnston presented it today. But yes, I'd like to see more drives in and a touchdown. If a team's going to get to 22 points, I'd sooner see 3 touchdowns with a 2-point convert than 1 touchdown and 15 points worth of field goals.
That's fine.
I really would.
You would, but you're already a fan.
True.
The demographic they're looking for is that 25 to 35-year-old fan. Is that going to even
I don't know.
Make a difference on their radar?
Yeah, I don't know.
Right? Like, is Coob's friends all going to want to go to the CFL and watch the Elks play because it's, they're putting up points? I don't know. That's an honest question, and I don't have the answer. Stobie says, wasn't there a worry that the league was going to go bankrupt? I did not hear that. And by all accounts, and from our very own Dustin Nielsen, who's very involved with this league, he says the league is functioning as best as it has in quite a while.
Well,
numbers are up.
There have been better games on the field than in years in terms of dramatic finishes.
And viewership numbers are up.
Yeah.
On TSN.
And even even that game, Edmonton beat Calgary 31-19. It was Calgary still had a chance till the last couple of minutes. I mean, you still have to keep watching, right?
Yep.
And that's what they don't want to change about the last 3 minutes either. Tango says TSN wanted them. Well, look, we don't know. First of all, we don't know for sure what the TV deal is going to look like after this year. Stewart Johnston did come from the world of TSN. But I guess I would say to Tango, so what? What if that's true? What's the problem with that? I mean, if he's coming from TSN and saying, look, I think that these are the problems in getting viewers, and now I'm the commissioner of that league. He should take that knowledge with him to the next job. If all of a sudden Dustin said, you know what, we're going to be EST and furniture sales. Jay, I want you to run the furniture sales because you used to run Avon's furniture. You wouldn't be like, oh, no, I can't refer on my past knowledge.
Yeah, I understand.
Would people in the Nasdaq be pissed off that our former furniture person is doing furniture sales for EST?
I know too much.
I think it's a benefit that Stewart Johnston came from that world. If anything, maybe it's neutral, but if anything, it should be a benefit. I mean, if he understands the TV numbers and maybe has some sort of feedback on what viewers want, or just a strong opinion on what viewers want, then he should be using that. I mean, if TSN as the TV partner had some input, okay. I don't see that as a bad thing or a conspiracy or anything like that.
Absolutely. I think it's a benefit.
Yeah.
What do you think of this, Reid? And I heard Maddie talking about it earlier, and I think it's fair. Do you think the CFL markets itself well enough?
No, probably not. And I see people posting about season-long fantasy.
Well, yeah.
That's part of marketing now.
Well,
they need to do that.
But once again, tune in to hear Stewart Johnston tomorrow, because I think that's a big deal for Dusty. Yeah. That's something him, Matt, the Dunya, Eric, they've all wanted. But from what I understand, it is in the works. So make sure
you do see the commercials on TV, but they're on during CFL games when you're already watching
TSN,
the league. Yeah,
the network that has them
anyway.
Right? Rogers owns the Argonauts.
I mean, I've said, like, I've criticized some of the past marketing done by the Elks and the Esks. Like, they won the Grey Cup with a personable stud of a quarterback, and the ads coming out on the billboards in February and March were gold backbound with green text. Get your season tickets to the Elks, or to the Eskimos. Like, no mention of them winning the Grey Cup. Like, throw up a picture of Mike Riley and a Darius Bowman drinking out of the Grey Cup.
Yeah.
Like, you got to sell a feeling as well as the price point. Like, come see the champs,
But outside of local markets, like in Edmonton, you'll see the Double E put up their own billboards promoting games.
Yeah.
And outside of TSN, like on any of the Sportsnet Global CTV, you do not see anything to do with with CFL.
Yeah.
You see a lot of promotion for the NFL, but nothing for the CFL.
There are questions coming in. What's going to happen after the 3-minute warning? We don't know. Chris Morris said they have to do a committee for that. Things like yard lines for kickoff, yard line after touchback, after rouges, some of that is still to be decided. So we're not skipping over that. We just don't know yet. We are coming to you from the Brewhouse Studio, the Canadian Brewhouse Studio. Lobster Fest is back at the Canadian Brewhouse Saturday, October 4th at 6 p.m. Enjoy a pound and a half of fresh Atlantic lobster with all the fixings for $49.99. Pair it with a stein of Alexander Keith's. Details at thecanadianbrewhouse.com. Tim Enger will look at the impact on Football Alberta when we get back.
Major changes are coming to the CFL starting in 2027. The field will be 100 yards, having end zones shortened to 15, with the uprights shifting to the back of the end zones. And for next season, an automatic 35-second game clock will be implemented, with team benches being placed on opposite sides of the field. Plus, the rouge will no longer include a single point for a missed field goal attempt or when punts and kickoffs sail through the end zone. Monday Night Football, it's the Ravens and Lions hitting the field. Both teams 1-1 on the season. Enjoy the game alongside Lieutenant Eric down at Selly's Sports Bar and Lounge at Century Casino on Fort Road, with kickoff at 6:15. In other news, CeeDee Lamb of the Cowboys is out with a high ankle sprain he suffered yesterday against the Bears. ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting that the injury could land him on the injured reserve. While in San Francisco, Nick Bosa tore his right ACL last night against the Cardinals. He requires season-ending surgery. And right now in baseball, the Nationals are up 1-0 over the Braves in the top of the first. We continue the CFL discussion on the other side of the break. I'm Zachary Kubish, keeping you in the loop.
The Oil Stream.
Another interesting tidbit from Coach Chris Knobloch. He wants to see Nuge more at center. Do you like that?
I don't mind it. I think that could still change too. I'll add Henrique was on the wing yesterday. We could see those guys shuffle around, but he mentioned Frederick as well, his ability to play center. And
The Oil Stream, presented by Boston Pizza. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday afternoons at noon. Only on Edmonton Sports Talk. Your clear choice for Edmonton sports.
The leaves are turning, and just like golf season, time is running out to get in on Play Alberta's biggest offer ever. For a limited time only, new players can get up to a $1,000 casino bonus when they sign up. There's never been a better time to join the fun. Visit playalberta.ca today to get started with casino, sports, and lottery all in one app. Must be 18 plus to play. Remember, if you gamble, please use your game sense.
It's wing showdown time at the Canadian Brewhouse. Creamy street corn goes head-to-head with Mexican chili lime. Two bold flavors battling for your taste buds. Grab them anytime, or just 69 cents every Wing Wednesday. The Canadian Brewhouse. Our house is your house.
Your home for live music and great performances is the River Cree Resort and Casino.
Just wasting gas. Whoa, blurring them dotted lines, killing
Don't miss 3-time CCMA Performer of the Year, Dallas Smith, Unplugged, November 1st at the River Cree Resort and Casino. Get your tickets at rivercreeresort.com. River Cree Resort and Casino. Excitement, bet on it.
Need extra space for products, tools, or seasonal stock? Sentinel Storage gives your business flexible storage and the room to grow. Affordable storage that scales with you. Try 4 weeks free at sentinelstorage.ca. Buy Canadian, store Canadian.
Good to have you tuning in this afternoon. We still have the Oil Understood coming up. That is presented by GCL Diesel. Play Alberta, the presenting sponsor of Edmonton Sports Talk. You can skip the flight to Vegas because jackpots are just a tap away. Experience all the thrills of the casino right from your phone with Play Alberta. Download the app today. Deposit $50 using the EST exclusive promo code EST Casino for a $50 casino bonus. Really appreciate all the texts and tweets and posts in the Nasty Chat, emails we're getting on the CFL changes. Definitely a big topic, and it's going to affect more than just those of you who are fans of the game. It's going to affect other levels of football as well. To discuss that, we welcome back to the Reid Wilkins Show the Technical Director of Football Alberta. It is Tim Enger. Tim, you're on with Reid and Jay. How are you doing?
Guys, how are you guys doing?
Doing very well. What's the matter, Jay?
Nothing. Every time I see Tim.
Want to know?
No, that's good. Thanks, Tim. Have a great evening.
And good night.
No, every time I see Tim, it just brings a smile to my face. That was my coach back in '99 for Team Alberta. As we went out to BC, I've told the story. I don't know if you remember, Tim, but me and a fellow on the team that was referred to as Chewbacca walked naked on Wreck Beach together for a $50 bet. So I can tell you that now, as that was 26 or 25 years ago, and you can't get mad at me, okay?
You weren't the only one that went down there, as far as I'm aware. And we kept warning you guys, like, you guys going down to Wreck Beach. Yes, it's a nude beach, but you think the cast of the Love Boat's waiting for you down there, but it's not. It's a very... Most people came back scarred for life. So
yes,
I'm glad you admit that now. So
yeah. Myself included. Okay. Big news today coming out from the CFL. I just want to get your general take, aside from Football Alberta, just for the love of the game of the CFL. What were your thoughts on these changes, Tim?
Well, they're coming at us pretty fast. Like the first time I heard of it is when there was the press conference today, and checked with Football Canada. They were informed last night, at least in the office, and so, this is kind of coming out of left field on us. And so, I'm a traditionalist guy. I've grew up like most of us did with the CFL and have no problems with the way it's conducted and the way it's operated. And I know we went through this a few years ago when they moved the hash marks in. And we were told, that's going to, get all these touchdowns coming in. And I don't know if I've noticed a difference or not, but they did that, and it did cause some problems for us, like facility-wise. And so, going forward with this, looking at the things, I can see the rationale. I really can for what they want to do, but I'm just worried about the logistics that go along for the ride.
Well, I know this happened very fast, but I'm sure your phone was buzzing today. The trickle-down effect here. What do you foresee happening? Because, we talk a lot about amateur local Edmonton football on this show, Prairie Junior, U Sports. I'll get to another topic, which is that U Sports sometimes share stadiums with CFL. But in Football Alberta, in Edmonton, let's say high school football, amateur football, below that, is this something that is just going to naturally happen over time? Or is there a world where you can keep playing football the way that you've been playing it for the last, 50 years. And if you graduate to the CFL, well, that's their rules. We're going to still stick with our rules and our field dimensions.
We might not have a lot of choice because, again, like the CFL, we don't own any of these facilities. They're provided to us by cities and towns and And in some cases, cities and towns that have invested a lot of money in the development of the facilities. You take a look at when I started at Football Alberta in the Pliocene era, we had one artificial turf field, and that was McMahon Stadium. And now there's 25 of them out there, but 24 of them have permanent lines. Like these are lines that are stitched into the artificial turf. And some of them are brand new. JP Bowl just got theirs redone last year. These things are supposed to last 10 to 15 years, and there's significant investment from the facilities. So, I mean, I can't even imagine like 6 of the 9 facilities used by the CFL are also shared by university, junior, and in some cases high schools. How is that supposed to play out where, on a Friday night, one version of the game will go, and then on Saturday you got the next version? I mean, it costs a lot to move those posts and reline the field and all this stuff. It can be done, but you're putting a lot of stress on facility operators. And again, from our standpoint, if we were to redo all the fields in Alberta that have artificial turf with permanent lines, that's $50 million. That's not going to happen overnight, and it's not money that we have. So it's got some long-ranging logistical problems, like I said, that we'd have to sort out. The one I'm most disappointed in is actually the timing rules, because I get the concept, I really do, because not all refs are created equally, and the way they place the ball and roll the time in, especially in the last 3 minutes, is different. And it could be upwards of 10 to 20 seconds. And if you're on the team that wants that clock to roll, it's infuriating. And so you're kind of, I can see how the consistency thing is great. But unfortunately, I've been in the States a lot, and that's the one thing I talk up with the Americans all the time. I think our timing rules are great, because in those last 3 minutes, you could have possessions on either side of the ball about 5 or 6 times, and every play is done so that the ball is placed, the sticks are in place, everything's set before we go ahead and do stuff. And you've seen it in American games when it's just straight time. It's chaos in certain situations. You're trying to put the ball down, the stick crew's not set, and as a result, it gets a little messy. Whereas ours is very, very, very concise. And also, we all know that if you're playing American football and you've got the ball at the 2-minute warning, and the other team doesn't have any timeouts, and you're ahead of the game, 3 knees, the game's over. That's 2 minutes of the game where nothing was done but somebody taking a knee. And with these 35 seconds, we're talking about probably a minute and a half left in a Canadian game. So I don't know. It's just, again, it's all coming at us pretty fast. It's not like we don't want to cooperate with the CFL. It's not like we don't want to see a bigger picture with them, but there's a lot to digest in this.
Yeah, I like how you put that, Tim. And I mean, that's an alarming number. I think you said $50 million to reline places with permanent lines on their turf. So, I mean, I know Jay kind of touches. I just feel like I'm hearing that high schools, and as you know, I used to cover high school football in Lloyd. They might still play 110-yard field with big end zones for a while. Like, I don't know how you get or they have a choice, maybe. I mean, is it possible that Lloyd Comp could play on a 110-yard field and then come to Edmonton for a provincial game and play on a 100-yard field with the smaller end zone?
All that's possible. But, one of the things about the field changes is moving the goalpost into the back of the end zone with a 15-yard thing. You're categorically changing the aspect of a convert. Like, it's no big deal for a professional guy to take a shot at that, but I worry you might see the kicked convert almost be eliminated from minor football and high school football, because when you're moving it 15 yards into the end of the backfield, you're putting the ball down at the 5-yard line. They're 7 yards back. You're almost talking about a 30-yard field goal just to get that single point, whereas you could just run a play and go after 2. So the amateur kicking game might suffer in that regards. It's not that we can't adapt. We do that all the time. Like, we take teams to the United States, and when you're down there, they're certainly not going to adapt to us. We have to play on their terms, their field, and I that always, going down there's always drove me crazy. I liken coaching American football to being handcuffed in a phone booth, because it is such a field, and you can't do motion. It just drives you nuts. So I worry we're heading down that path a little bit, but at the same time, again, there's some logistical things. There's some content items within the things here that could really affect us in a ways that we just might have to stay playing the 110-yard game for for as long as it lasts. Because again, a lot of those communities you're in, like if you're in Lloydminster, the game's played at the high school. So someone's got to dig up the goalposts there and move them appropriately, and maybe the janitor doesn't want to do it that day. So I mean, it's not as easy as it looks. Again, we want to be supportive of the CFL. They are the one place the great majority of our athletes that of the elite level are going to wind up. Yeah, we've got a sprinkling of a few in the NFL, and that's awesome. But the CFL is a nice destination. It's an exciting game. I was an Eskimo/Elks fan since I can remember. So, but there's some concerns here.
Well, you did a very good job outlining those, and definitely storylines to keep an eye on, and that's why we wanted to have you on the show. Tim, thanks for hopping on. We'll have you on again, of course, to talk about all the great high school stories and other things going on, but we really appreciate it, and I hope you're not still scarred from having coached Jay Milne 26 years ago.
I got over it, but it took a while. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Tim. Tim Enger is the Football Alberta Technical Director. So this is why we have people on. That's a great point. Some high schools, and I know you're not a fan of kickers either, but
little
some
kid
high
kicking,
schools, some high schools, nobody can kick very well.
Poor Jablonski's going to get yelled off the field.
So now, even if it's snapped from the 3 and it's placed on the 10, that's 25 yards to make an extra point.
Jablonski has a hard enough time making a 10-yard field
goal.
Yes,
Jay, when I used to cover the Wheatland Football League in Lloydminster, so like Lloyd Comp played Wainwright, Grand Center, which was out of Cold Lake, Vermilion. Who else? Lac La Biche had a team one year. They were not good. I think Vague might have had a team. Bonnyville had a team. Did I say Wainwright? Anyway, it was like a 7 or 8 team league. And that was when you still snapped it from the 5 to kick a 12-yard extra point. Some teams didn't have a kicker that could do that.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, they would just always go for, like, I talked to coaches, and then after a while you get figured out. I'm like, hey, are you just really aggressive? And he's just like, my kicker's in grade 10. I don't even know if he can't make it half the time. From 12.
That's just something you don't think about, is if these changes are made, how it trickles down. Now, I'm not saying protect the integrity or protect the rule changes to protect little poor Timmy Jablonski. He's got to learn how to kick better. What are you going to do? But hearing of all these AstroTurf facilities in Alberta, that 14 of them are the numbers or the lines are permanent.
Yeah.
Right? You can't just paint over these things. Or maybe you can. I don't know, but ripping out the goalpost out of a lot of them is not just as easy as ripping out the goalpost would be on the high school field at Lloyd Comp.
Yes, exactly.
I think of Emerald Hills, beautiful facility where the Edmonton Wildcats play. That whole field would have to be replaced.
Right.
No question.
Yeah.
So Reid, I honestly think that you're going to have probably 10 to 15 years of, we'll just play on whatever field you got.
It's still Canadian rules, but the Canadian dimensions are
you got a new field?
No longer consistent.
Okay. Like when you play the UFC Dinos at McMahon Stadium, you will be playing on a 100-yard field with the field goal post at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, is that going to be a home advantage for Calgary? Probably, maybe. I don't know. Winnipeg, the same thing. They play at Princess Auto Stadium. The Bisons do.
Yeah.
So I think it's just going to have to be, we'll play on whatever we get, whatever we see when we show up.
Of course, you can text us at 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. Afternoon Inbox presented by River Cree Resort and Casino, home of Tap 25 restaurant, where the entire menu is 50% off 7 days a week. That is from 2 to 5 p.m. Erico in the Nasty Chat, is it moving towards being a NFL development league? Again, I do not believe that. And maybe I've got rose-colored glasses on. I do not believe that this is some diabolical plan to fully make the rules NFL. I just don't believe that. And I don't think the NFL needs the CFL as a development league, quite frankly. I think they can coexist still quite nicely.
Well, it kind of already is. If players are good enough,
if you're good enough,
they go to the NFL.
But the NFL doesn't say, hey, let's put this guy in the CFL.
Right.
Like the NHL and the AHL. It's not a direct affiliation.
Andrea from Calgary in the River Cree Resort and Casino inbox, joining the conversation late, so maybe this perspective has already been shared, but To me, the CFL is more than just the rules. It's the excitement in the spring, regularly asking if it's June yet. It's the marquee matchups we all circle on our calendars. It's the tailgating and the atmosphere in the stadium cheering on your team. And of course, it's all of the Grey Cup traditions every November. Do I love all of today's changes? No. Will I still love the CFL in 2027? You can count on it.
Well, and again, if you're concerned that this is the Americanization of the CFL, then I understand why you're saying that because of going to a 100-yard field and putting the end zones at the back of the end zone. I get that. Having said that, still 3 downs, still the waggle, still a yard off the ball, still the 65-yard field, still no yards instead of a fair catch. So there's still a lot of things that have been uniquely in the CFL that are still uniquely in the CFL. And it seems to me, if I take what Stewart Johnston said at face value, they sat down, the Board of Governors, and said to themselves, what could we possibly change to enhance our product? Not what can we possibly change to try to fool people into think they're watching the NFL.
Yeah.
Here, I wrote down this quote that they want to elevate the display and presentation of our game. He also said we are trading field goals for touchdowns. And then we had Chris Morris on this show, and he said we want more touchdowns and fewer field goals. They want more drives ending in 6 points. Now, again, I can't promise you that's what's going to happen, but I can tell you that's what the CFL is communicating as their reasoning. I just don't see it as like, let's become the NFL. Like
I don't either.
That's quite frankly, that would be a stupid approach by Stewart Johnston.
Very.
To say, let's take on the big boy head to head. That'd be like a 8-year-old kid in his basement writing a short story for the first time, thinking that story is going to outsell a Stephen King novel. You don't go head to head.
No, you can't.
So I don't think that I understand the worry, but I think that they're making some changes. They want to try to change the way the game functions to hopefully lead to more touchdowns. That's what they're trying to do.
Couple limericks?
Do them.
This one comes in from Jeff in YYZ. Saturday near Streets, Barton and Gage. The Elks finish it sure did enrage. Missing drive and desire. With penalties misfire. Postseason hopes are past the last stage. Bronco Nick. Elks lost again because they were scared. 3rd and 2. Go for it, I dared. Play it safe. Felt too chafe. In the end, the coaching staff erred. And VR Montenegro. Crazy snaps and mad props to Nathan Rourke for speaking his mind and popping his cork. These changes are rubbish, just like this clown Comish. Commish.
Oh, jeez.
Who's definitely a bona fide dork. Wow. VR Montenegro from the top rope. And this one comes in from Matthew Hyman. The CFL's twists never stop. New rules give the game extra pop. Some grumble, some cheer, but we'll all raise a beer and declare with a grin, long live the rouge. See, that didn't rhyme. Rouge does not rhyme with stop or pop.
No, it does not. Not even close. Well, maybe I don't know. I don't know what to say to that. Well, I'm glad people are writing limericks, though. It's fun. Okay, we got the Coop, we got the Oil Understood, and Words of the Day coming up.
Starting in 2026, the CFL will see the first wave of major changes. Team benches will now be on opposite sides of the field. The game clock will become an automatic 35-second timer, with the rouge being tweaked, meaning no points awarded for missed field goals, kickoffs, or punts that roll through the end zone. In 2027, the field will be shortened to 100 yards, having the goalpost pushed back to a condensed 15-yard end zone. Tonight, Baltimore plays host to Detroit. Catch the game down at Selly's Sports Barn Lounge at Century Casino on Fort Road to join Lieutenant Eric for the matchup. Kickoff for that one is at 6:15. From Dallas, Cowboys superstar CeeDee Lamb suffered a left high ankle sprain in the first half of last night's game against the Bears. He could hit the injured reserve with his return to play up in the air. Elsewhere, Nick Bosa of the 49ers requires season-ending surgery. He tore his right ACL last night against the Cardinals, and ESPN's Adam Schefter reported that Najee Harris will be sidelined for the rest of the season with a torn Achilles. On the diamond, just one game's live right now. Nationals and Braves tied at 1 apiece, bottom of the second. The final segment of the Reid Wilkins Show brings us back after the break. I'm Zachary Kubish, keeping you up to date.
EST Afternoons.
Simone Lawrence. Simone, how you doing?
No, y'all intro music is perfect. No wonder y'all got one of the best shows in the world. Y'all, you had me feeling like I had a nice tuxedo on, you know? I'm excited. Elks versus the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Woo! And this is the kind of game the Tiger Cats need.
EST Afternoons, weekday afternoons 1 to 3, only on Edmonton Sports Talk. Your clear choice for Edmonton sports.
Your brand deserves more than just a whisper, it deserves a buzz. At the Hive Product Marketing, they specialize in promotional products that bring the buzz. From eye-catching giveaways to unforgettable keepsakes, they got the perfect products to make your brand stand out and get noticed. Visit the Hive Product Marketing and let them create the buzz your business deserves. The Hive Product Marketing, the official merch partner of Edmonton Sports Talk. Visit them online at thehiveproductmarketing.com.
Looking for a winning strategy for your retirement? Contact me, Joaquin Gage at K4 Financial, where expertise meets dedication. I will always look for a careful approach to your retirement, ensuring your financial future is secure. From tailored strategies to clear, actionable advice, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Don't leave your future to chance. Get in touch with me, Joaquin Gage, today at k4financial.ca or email joaquin.gage@k4financial.ca to start planning for a brighter future and a more secure retirement.
Hi there. If you're like me, you like to picture yourself in luxury, even though there's absolutely no way you could afford it. And if you can, well, even better. Thankfully, I picture myself in something that is luxury, but still absolutely affordable, like the all-new Mazda CX-90 from Park Mazda. With the new luxury features like facial recognition settings and quilted detail Napa leather seating, I can pretend to be comfortable with all of my proper settings activated without even touching a button, thanks to Mitch Lewicki and the great staff at Park Mazda. I like to picture Mitch Lewicki as a ninja fighting off evil samurai.
Park Mazda, your dealer for life in Sherwood Park off Y Road, parkmazda.ca.
All right, appreciate you tuning in this afternoon. Lots of good discussion on the rule changes in the Canadian Football League. The Elks, after 2 heartbreaking losses, are home Saturday at 5 against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Looking to be a really big crowd for that game. And Jay Milne and Matthew Iwanek will have the Green and Gold kickoff show on Saturday at 4, and then they will be on after the game as well for the Green and Gold post-game show. The Oil Understood is presented by GCL Diesel, providers of the best diesel engine components around, from turbochargers to ejectors, fuel pumps to sensors. They are the critical engine component experts, proud to serve Edmonton and Northern Alberta for over 50 years, now a partner of Edmonton Sports Talk and the Reid Wilkins Show. GCL Diesel. Diesel Understood. By the way, we need 5 thumbs to get to 100. So if you haven't clicked yet and you're watching on YouTube, give us a thumbs up or share the show link with somebody and say, hey, check these guys out. Give them a thumbs up. The Oilers play a preseason game in Winnipeg tomorrow at 6. The split squad games last night, they won 3-0 in Calgary, lost 3-2 in overtime here at Rogers Place. I went to the Rogers Place game. I asked David Tomasek, who looked okay at times. There might be some potential there. He was playing center. I asked him about last night's game.
There was a lot of good stuff. Obviously, in my mind, I have some moments, so I would have to see it more to review it more. But I think there were some solid defensive plays, which I try to focus on too. And as a center, try to get the system a little bit and get used to the size of the rink and of the pace, which I thought was good. And yeah, I think one I should have put it in. I didn't get the spot I wanted, but for me, I try to look at it that it's a good thing to get the shots, get in the chances, and keep trying to do it. And also I'm happy for some defensive plays.
Head coach Chris Knobloch on Tomasek and his adjustment to North American hockey.
Mostly it's the pace of play, and you don't have as much time to make plays. In Europe, it's also, you get the puck and you don't have as much time to make a play, but more importantly, probably not as much room, space to escape, to skate away from the pressure. Here you feel a little bit of pressure and there's not as much room, and so just because of the ice surface. Tonight, you definitely could see that he had a shooter mentality. He had many opportunities, whether that was on the power play, wanting to shoot, get that puck on net, 5-on-5 early, was really wanting to get the puck on net, and which is good because of the guys that we have on our team, or the last couple of years that I've seen, as he's probably one of the better shooters. So, more that he can shoot and put pucks on the net. Very few guys can score from distance, and I would say that probably the way he shoots, he can probably do that once in a while.
All right, so that's on Tomasek. We'll see what else he can do. Matt Savoy played last night. Here's Knobloch.
I thought he pplayed really well. He created a lot of turnovers. He was in on the forward check. That line, especially in the first period, was all around the puck. We used him on the penalty kill. I thought he looked very comfortable there. Overall, I thought he had a solid game.
All right, a little bit there on last night's game. Let's do words of the day, baby. And remember, the commissioner of the CFL, 7:30 tomorrow on the Nielsen Show with Lieutenant Eric.
The word of the day with Reid and Jay.
7:30, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I?
Aye, Cap. Also get that on Cruise FM. The Nielsen Show
Let's find out.
on Cruise FM, as well as all of our streaming platforms. Pretty cool. All right.
First word of the day. This is an M-inspired show. I don't know why.
All right.
Monolith.
Monolith. Monolith. So a monolith, there was a monolith in 2001, A Space Odyssey. It is a object of consistent or symmetrical shape and texture. I don't know if it has to be large or not.
That would have helped. That would have got you.
And it's usually large.
Yeah, massive.
They are large, yeah.
Massive is the word.
I got it before, yeah.
Yeah, 2 for 2 on monolith. The actual definition, a single great stone, often in the form of an obelisk or a column.
Okay.
So, symmetrical.
Yeah.
Okay. And a massive structure. So, good job, Reid.
I understood it.
I'm proud of you. Second word, moratorium.
We got the 100 thumbs, by the way.
Moratorium. I missed that.
Moratorium.
Just play a couple more sounds for me.
What, do you think I just have sounds lying around?
Hey, boy. Hey, you. Play me those sounds.
Did Coob go down the hallway? I think I hear him coming now.
What we do is if we need that extra
I still got to go see this
push
movie.
over the
That's
cliff, you know what we do?
I've seen this one.
11, exactly. One louder.
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
Let's go, girls.
Moratorium. Oh, I hope I know how to spell it. Moratorium. Moratorium. And a moratorium is a period of time from which something, oh man, like I know what it means, but I don't know how to, for example, after losing all my money, I put a moratorium on buying more board games. It's like, it's like a period of time from which you will cease doing something.
A suspension of activity.
Oh, it's that simple.
Yeah.
Make it so, number one.
Yeah, a suspend. Okay, so I actually did say that.
Yeah.
I said it's a period of time from which you will cease doing something.
4 for 4, Reid.
4 for 4. I'm on fire. We're over 100 thumbs. We're doing very well. Did you know we have a Nasty Chat poster called Maple Syrup Skid Mark? There's got to be a story behind that skid mark. And, is it where... There's a couple places. I could think of 3 places it could be. On the road where you'd find skid marks.
A tree?
A tree.
Yeah.
And then perhaps another location on clothing.
Oh, man.
Oh, my goodness.
This is a heck of a show.
This was a heck of a show. Well, you know what? I'm glad people are interested in something the CFL is doing. Even if you're angry about it, that's a form of being interested.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think once this gets on the field, you'll probably be okay with it once we get there.
I think so, too.
And what did Chris Morris today? Chris said he's been through this and he's been in a leadership position for a long time. Hey, we're going to change this. Well, what are you talking about? How dare you?
Mm-hmm.
And usually it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we got to go. So 6:04 a.m. tomorrow here on the Edmonton Sports Talk audio streams and YouTube channel, as well as 95.7 Cruise FM, the Nielsen Show with Lieutenant Eric. They will have CFL Commissioner Stewart Johnston joining them at 7:30. We're back at 3 tomorrow afternoon. On behalf of the Coob and the Glue Guy, I'm Reid. Take care.